Form one's faith. Jeff served on the mission field all over the world and has created this highly illustrated and concisely written technical book. The easy-to-read format is understood from the youngest reader to the most intelligent and mature readers. Google and Amazon book reviews include, "This is the best little book I have ever read. It is amazing how much information is in this book." And a beautifully written and illustrated book. The author has a gift for describing complicated technical details in a very understandable style. This book is available now in paperback on Amazon. Search High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler. 100% of proceeds go to missions. That's High Tech vs. the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler.
MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98, kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 30% on their brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one Mike has worn every day for 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get the 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And the best-selling standard MyPillow, just $14.98. To take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship has sailed because right now every order ships absolutely free. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, keeping track of the other side, it's important to do. Over the weekend, the new Marxist Party tapped a new leader. Ken Martin
from Minnesota
is the new DNC chairhuman, and he's purported to be Midwest nice, but a real cutthroat behind the scenes. I'm real feared.
I'm shaking in my boots.
Anyway, if you thought that this meeting of the poobahs of the party would indicate some reflection on what happened in November and maybe even intimate some course correction, well, yeah, it started with this.
Welcome. The Democratic National Committee wishes to acknowledge that we gather together to state our values on lands that have been stewarded through many centuries by the ancestors and the descendants of tribal nations who have been here since time immemorial. We honor the communities native to this continent and recognize that our country was built on indigenous lands and hope.
Yeah, the golf clap for the stolen land acknowledgement to kick off the DNC meeting. But that sort of tells you where it goes. I mean, are they walking away from identitarian politics because of the clawback on DEI and other expressions of identitarian politics that's happening right now?
312,
not
yeah,
really.
I don't know, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And then they started introducing, the candidates who are vying to be the DNC chair or the vice president. And did you see this? I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, Dan, so be patient. Kintinsa Hathaway, they introduced each candidate and she ceded her time to sing.
And we'll begin with the opening statements. Each candidate will have 30 seconds. And we'll start with Dr. Quintessa Hathaway.
Good evening, everyone. It is my desire to be the next DNC chair. And I just want to give you all a little bit of something that's been on my heart here over the last couple of days. You fight on, you fight on, you fight on, fight on. When your government is doing you wrong, you fight on. Oh, you fight on.
I was watching
Also
a
generating a golf clap.
Thank you, Dr. Hathaway.
Oh, she's not done yet. You know, I actually thought it was a parody. Is this an
What is she a
SNL
doctor
skit?
of?
Oh, I don't know, Dan.
Yeah.
But I will find out.
Yeah.
She didn't win, by the way. But
Yeah,
as
well,
you
we
know,
just
I-
mentioned
well-
Ken Martin is the new DNC chairhuman. Right, Contessa Hathaway, it's lovely. The spirituals, they're in a political prison of sorts, and so you get the spirituals. Jonathan Capehart and Simone Sanders were pulled in to moderate the discussion between all the DNC chairhuman candidates.
And your girl, Jen Psaki.
And this is how it started with Capehart, who, doubles at the New York Times, MSNBC. So, again, just to focus on, is there going to be a new value proposition forthcoming from the new Marxist Party?
In this round, so I'm going to, I have a show of hands. How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay.
Okay.
So that's good. You all passed.
They had a light moment where they all agreed and then applauded themselves.
She didn't win because she's a black woman. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. That's what's going on. And now Ken Martin is, an older honky from the Midwest. So you got to balance that off with a young upstart. And they did. David Hogg, you may remember David Hogg. David Hogg he was a survivor of the Parkland school shooting, which was horrific, and glad that he survived that. But he used that as a jumping off point to become this gun ban advocate, as most people probably know at this point, because, of course, the corporate media was happy to platform him and celebrate him through his matriculation in Harvard and since, where he's become a flack for, the new Marxists. And he actually got elected the vice chairman of the Democrat National Committee, so they call themselves, David Hogg.
Are you ready to go on the offense? Are you ready to go on the offense? We have to win back our young people. I am the only candidate in this race for any of these positions that is under 30. We had a 20-point shift to the right of our young people. We must show our young people we give a damn about them, that we support them, and we invest in them. I have raised over $11 million in the past year to support the future of our party, because I don't just tweet, I don't just talk the talk, I also walk the walk and I knock the knock in doors across the country. But I'm counting on you in this moment right now. I need your support. Please vote for me. Thank you so much.
And he got it. David Hogg knocks the knock and walks the walk and talks the talk and tweets the tweets and so forth. It was interesting. It was interesting to watch this plat. Now, again, the caveat, of course, is this is an appeal to the base of the party. This is an appeal to the party regulars that represent their base vote in the various states, all 50. So it doesn't necessarily capture the full breadth of possible recriminations going on within the ranks of Democrat socialists. But for them to still do the raise your hand business like they did in the presidential debates, which came back to haunt Kamala, as so much did from the presidential debates. But remember, raise your hand if you're for decriminalizing illegal border crossings, and every Democrat socialist, including the big guy, raised his hand. That was an indelible picture, and it became even a more indictable event when you had 4 years of their open borders. But I mean, for the navel gazing to go on still with the racism and misogyny and the stolen land acknowledgements and, you know, the clap trap that you hear. I mean, what's today? Today is a day without immigrants as their, you know, typical gambit to completely misrepresent the issue of border security, to misrepresent the conservative position on illegal immigration, to conflate illegal immigration with legal immigration. I mean, this is what they've been doing for, well, more decades, but I mean, particularly in the Trump era for the last decade. I mean, it's really just rinse and repeat. So much so that the rhetoric that you heard after Trump won in 2016 is the same rhetoric you're hearing now. I mean, you had the fight on spiritual, which was less pointed. But, I mean, you know what you're going to hear, what you've been hearing, what will continue.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I think I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in.
Yeah, you know. By the way, David Hogg.
Yeah.
This is a classic David Hogg tweet. You know, representing tomorrow's leadership, representing our country's future. David Hogg. The only person under 30 on this stage, and so on and so forth. Yeah, well, like me, question mark, I'm never planning on having kids. I would much rather own a Porsche and a Portuguese water dog and a golden doodle. Long term, it's cheaper, better for the environment, and will never tell you that it hates you or ask you to pay for college. There's your DNC. That's a tweet that's 2 years old. There's your DNC vice chairman, if that tells you anything about the branding of that party. Corey at Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for taking the call. You know, these guys are doubling down on the same racism, and they're unapologetic about it. I would be checking all of the city clerks around this country to look and see what permits are being pulled for these guys for over the next 4 years, because they're going to get out here and they're going to keep stirring up racism and hatred until they get what they want. So we got to be vigilant.
I agree, although I got to say, I don't think it's over, and I don't think it has gone to zero currency. You know, I don't think it has zero value politically, but I think it's been greatly reduced. And if they want to run this racket for another election cycle, well, clearly they're going to have to get somebody a lot better than Kamala Harris to be their front person. Maybe you'll have to dust off one of the Obamas. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just a postscript on our little conversation about the DNC and them doubling down on identitarian politics at their DNC meeting over the weekend. I mean, this is against the backdrop of not only the DEI executive order that gets rid of $100 billion worth of DEI programs in the federal government, and that's afoot. DOD announcing identity months at DOD are dead. CDC taking down the trans and LGBTQIA2S++ guidance pages. Trump, no more pronouns on your emails, federal workers. We're not doing preferred pronouns anymore. So all that is afoot, but and that's great because it presents a stark contrast. But take a lesson from the left. You need to continue to make the arguments. You continue to make the case, particularly as they are making theirs. All right.
Coming up on, Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, the handful of angel moms respond to Selena Gomez's wailing for people in this country illegally who pose a public safety threat. We'll start there in our conversation about border security at 5:38.
But first, let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
39 degrees at 5:33. President Trump says he will be speaking with Canadian and Mexican leaders today. Both countries have been critical over the weekend of the president's recent 25% tariffs. Authorities are searching for clues after a medical transport jet crashed in northeast Philadelphia, killing 7. 6 on board were killed. Another person on the ground also died. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy said the country's air traffic control practices need major change in order to ensure the safety of travelers using American airports.
Our air traffic control system, it's antiquated. A lot of the systems we use date back to World War II.
The jet went down Friday evening near Roosevelt Boulevard and Cottman Avenue in Philadelphia. Officials from the Unified Command investigating the deadly plane crash in Washington, D.C. this past weekend gave an update on their findings yesterday. D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly.
It is my belief that we're going to recover everyone. If we knew where they were, though, we would already have them out. So we have some work to do as the salvage operation goes on, and we will absolutely stay here and search until such point as we have everybody.
55 victims have been found so far in the river. Debris removal continues this morning. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with President Trump this week. He's expected to travel to the White House Tuesday. Panama's president says his country will end a key deal with China after meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. After a meeting with the Panamanian president, Rubio talked with reporters.
We've learned over time the more prosperous, the safer other countries are, the safer and more prosperous it makes us.
President Jose Raul Molino Sunday saying his country will not cede control of the canal, but will now cancel a deal with China to join its Belt and Road Global Development Initiative. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. Officers responded yesterday to call of a robbery in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. There, they chased a man on foot who fired at police. Gunfire was then exchanged, and that suspect was hit. He was treated at the scene by officers and then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. The incident is under investigation by COPA. 2 men accused of a horrific murder in Norwood Park are back in jail after appearing inside of a Cook County courtroom over the weekend. Authorities say the 21-year-old and 29-year-old are accused in the death of 63-year-old George Levin at his home on the evening of Sunday, January 23rd. Bulls lost to the Pistons 127-119 and trade Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings in a 3-team deal. College hoops, Fighting Illini had a strong second half And they outscored Ohio State 87-79. Will Riley, 24 off the bench. Cubs add some depth to their infield. Team signing Nicky Lopez to a minor league deal. The Naperville native was with the White Sox in 2024. The news, a service of quick delivery service. Your personal ground crew, anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, quick delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Are you ready for it? The biggest game of the year is almost here. Will the reigning champs shake it off and defend their title? Or will the birds from Philly write their own love story and fly to victory? This showdown is the one you won't want to miss. Predict the exact score of the big game, and you could win $50,000 big dollars. For terms and conditions and to submit your prediction today, go to 560theanswer.com/game. That's 560theanswer.com/game.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
So when we saw the advertisements for this by reputable people, I told my husband, I said, well, we don't have anything to lose, so let's do it. Within a month, I could see a difference. It's really great. Y'all should let me do those commercials. Do you know how many people I have gotten to take Balance of Nature?
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
540 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecast Windows, your award-winning, platinum, elite, Pella certified contractor, Valdecast.com. Dan Ryan outbound. Accident, car into the wall, outbound right at 76 this morning. Cicero Avenue in Cicero. Shut down both directions between Cermak and 21st due to police activity this morning. Hanover Park, an accident, Central and Turnberry. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy and mild, clouds and breaks of sun, high 47. Cloudy, much colder overnight, low 24. Cloudy and cold tomorrow, high near 30. Cloudy and 38 at O'Hare, 43 at Midway, fog and 37 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Maybe somebody can help me out. I missed the Grammys last night, but I had a bet on who was going to win the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award.
Oh, yeah. Who won that?
No, I'm asking.
Oh, I don't know. You know.
Yeah. If anybody
Dr.
can,
Dre, but I just loved how I watched.
Impact, or maybe Mike Scott's on that Grammys beat.
I am
our entertainment reporter, Mike Scott.
Yeah, I did watch a little bit of it, and they were applauding themselves so much, as they always do, about, we weren't going to have this because of the devastating fires, but we decided, we're heroic. We're heroes up here. We thought that the show has to go on. And they talked about the fires endlessly, which is good because they did raise some money for it, but that show it's just unwatchable. I mean, when was the last time you watched the Grammys? If ever? Never?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You're selling past the close.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah. No, but if the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, I mean, that's
Alicia Keys
serious.
won. Just so you know.
Alicia Keys won.
What did she do, Justin, to deserve this coveted award?
What did Dr. Dre do to deserve to have a Global Impact Award named after him? Exactly.
No.
But I digress. The Angel Moms have responded. Some of the Angel Moms. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them after 4 years of the big guy. 3 of the Angel Moms we've come to know a little bit because they've been truly courageous enough, not phony courage like in Hollywood, truly courageous enough to come forward to make sure that their daughters' deaths, in the case of these 3 women, did not go without impact, selflessly trying to prevent other families from suffering what they have suffered, the loss they have suffered. So we're talking about the moms of Jocelyn Nungaray, of Rachel Morin, of Laken Riley. And in reverse order in how they appeared in this video released by the White House, the 3 moms took to social media to respond to the Selena Gomez wailing for illegal immigrants in this country who pose a public safety threat on social media. Talk about self-indulgence. That went viral and which was much discussed, including by us last week. Here's what the moms had to say to Selena.
Seeing that video, it's hard to believe that it's actually genuine and real because she's an actress.
You don't know who you're crying for. What about our children who were brutally murdered and raped and beat to death and left on the floor by these illegal immigrants?
I just feel like it's a ruse to deceive people and to garner sympathy for lawlessness.
Oh, 312.
My daughter was a child. There's many other children whose lives were taken due to people who crossed here illegally.
They didn't cry for our daughters.
No one has stood up except for us mothers to cry out about our children.
I am so happy that Trump won. I am so glad that this is one of the first bills to help with immigration.
It's only been 2 weeks, if that, since he's been in office, and he's taking accountability and he's making moves and he's making things happen.
President Trump genuinely cares for the American people, and he cares for the American family.
I truly appreciate everything Donald Trump has done.
We stand with President Trump and make America safe again.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Of course, those moms are not wrong about Selena Gomez or the larger issue. And the hits just keep coming in. Obviously, we have the case in Chicago, Norwood Park. And as I mentioned over the weekend, now that we understand the 2 illegal immigrants that are accused of murdering that Norwood Park trustee, they apparently connected on an app for gay people, dating app for gay people, then came over to his house and tied him up and robbed him and beat him to death. And this presents a real moral quandary from the left. 2 illegal immigrants beat to death a gay man. What do you do if you're a leftist? Where do you come down on that? While you're out today protesting the Trump administration policies and trying to show us people who believe in border security what a day without immigrants in the United States would look like by not going to your jobs and so forth. Okay.
312.
You're really teaching us a lesson.
Yeah. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on the very same line.
I mean, and every day, as we have intermittently over the last several years, you can tell these stories to the point of those angel moms. Madison County, Mississippi. Illegal alien, El Salvadorian national, arrested for sexual battery of a physically helpless person.
Oh, my gosh.
And tampering with evidence. Do you even want to get into the details? 4 times deported Mexican who massacred 5 in Texas. 4 times deported Mexican national who massacred 5 in Texas, given life prison sentence in Texas. This is the guy you may remember from 2023 who was shooting his gun, in the air, and his neighbors came over and said, "We have a baby we're trying to put to bed. Can you please stop shooting your gun?" So he came over and killed 5 people. 4 times deported. I mean, we
and
could go.
He still wasn't in jail after, or did he flee the scene? I mean, what the heck was he still doing out after killing 4 people?
He wasn't. Well, he was 4 times deported.
Okay.
He's got back in illegally, and he killed 5 people, and then he was in custody pending trial and conviction, which has now happened. Go over and over and over again with this. And by the way, if something's not done about it, the Yuma, Arizona mayor penned a piece, Douglas Nichols penned a piece for Newsweek about what's happening, the transformation that's happening just in the first 2 weeks, sort of as those angel moms mentioned, not just signing the Lake and Riley Act. He writes, does Mayor Nichols of Yuma, Arizona, the border was relatively quiet during my first term. The events were brief and would go away as fast as they arose. Then it all changed in 2019. Caravans of hundreds of migrants began crossing the border illegally. U.S. Border Patrol quickly exceeded capacity and were forced by the Flores Settlement Agreement to release these migrants with children within 72 hours into the streets of Yuma. I proclaimed a local state of emergency. When the Trump administration heard about it, they whistled him in to meet with Trump and the Homeland Security Secretary at the time. The mayor writes, I left DHS with more buses to transport migrants out of Yuma and a promise of more policy changes to come, and Remain in Mexico was implemented. And in a couple of months, those numbers were back to pre-surge levels. Relevant federal action addressed the federal issue that was impacting Yuma, writes the mayor. The Biden administration did not have that impact. Once again, Yuma was on the front line of federal issues. This time, though, when he had meetings with Mayorkas, no change in policy. I was simply told the border was secure. We had a peak of 1,500 migrants crossing the border illegally in one day, and there was still no effective federal response. 3.5 years into the Biden administration, there was finally a new policy shift that had some minor impact, too little, too late. And he goes on to say, look, that with Trump in, and because of his track record, they know, he writes, does the mayor, the cartels are responding to protect their businesses. We must not lose perspective. The trafficking of millions of people across the border grows the income of these dangerous cartels to multi-billion-dollar organizations. They're not going to, I don't believe that the end of trafficking is upon us. They're attempting to strategize and find new methods to be successful in the new arena. And he goes on to say, but we must never surrender control of our border and let the transnational criminal organizations have their way like was done in the last 4 years. Taking a committed stance helps Yuma change from the perception as the border community gripped by chaos to what it really is, a safe and great place to live that is beaming with opportunity. The hard stance prevents companies looking to expand from overlooking Yuma for safer communities, which ours remains a very safe city. And he goes on to talk about some of the things that we know that's happening, the use of military, the Border Patrol agents, the ICE enforcement and recovery operations that are going on nationally. And he also has this to say, since Border Patrol was demonized as jackbooted thugs by the left, you may recall. Remember, I know they don't talk about it much anymore, but AOC and the new Marxists, their mantra was defund ICE along with defunding the police. You don't hear that anymore, but that was their mantra. Douglas Nichols, the mayor of Yuma, the 1,000 agents in Yuma are valuable members of our community. Their family, neighbors, and dear friends are doing a job unsupported by the head leadership in the home office, talking about previously. The troops and the troops, the military, will perform duties that relieve the administrative and non-law enforcement tasks, freeing agents to proactively secure our border. And Yuma, interestingly, is where most of the border wall has been constructed, the area, the sector where the most border wall has been constructed, better way to say it. But the mayor says there's still technological enhancements that need to be put in place to further secure the Yuma sector, and he's hoping for and fully expecting Trump to do that. So, I mean, just some, like on the ground, day-to-day, real-world perspective, not these beautiful lies that are bandied about by the left about how things should be and what the world could look like, and the human trafficker and the guy in the terrorist watch list is just a neighbor who we haven't made friends with yet.
Such hyperbole.
Maurice and Berwyn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan. I mean, at this point, we are what we are. I mean, this is just where, we have what we have to do. My only question, so I'm fine with them going back. Hey, I love Selena Gomez. I can't believe that guy she's dating. He's butt ugly. But that's a whole different conversation.
Who is she dating?
Amy. Oh, my God. That Benny Blanco, Bono, he's a producer. He's hideous. Okay. But
were you surprised that Alicia Keys got the Dr. Dre Global Impact Award, Maurice?
She really hasn't put anything out in really good in years. I am really surprised.
I agree.
But back to the point. Hey, we are what we are. Here's what I like about Trump. Aside from the fact that I told my sister, hey, I didn't vote for the guy, but I'm not mad at those tax cuts. Thank God. I paid out so much money in taxes last year. But he's going to deport them. He said that he told people that's what he was going to do. So, hey, they have to go, they have to go. My own question is, we have to admit that 41% that migrants provide, I read 41% of labor. At some point, what are we going to do? All these dudes can't go. It has to be the other part of immigration reform has to be looking at these guys and saying, hey, we have to sort these guys because it is affecting labor for farmers, construction. What do we do with that component? These dudes do labor. So someone had to say, all right, if you're a criminal, you have to go. But look what I think I read, as far as grapes in Napa, farming, construction in some parts of the southern region. Some of these guys have to stick around if they're working some kind of format to kind of pick through them.
Yeah, you're worried about that bottle of Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc you like going up in price. I hear
There's
you,
a lot
Maurice.
of meat packing plants where illegals work.
Yeah, but Maurice strikes me as a bit of a cinephile. So that's what I'm. Excuse me, cinephile. I'm thinking about movies. Enophile. Like the jet set crowd in Berwyn. Yeah. Go ahead, Maurice.
I have been known to frequent Fitzgerald. But honestly, some of them are legitimately working, and they do provide commerce. They are supporting our economy, and they are not bad people.
Well, of course that's true. Of course that's true. Thanks for the call, Maurice. Of course
they're going after the worst first.
Well, but they are categorizing them, and maybe after we're through getting 650,000 people in this country, estimates, by the Department of Homeland Security, Biden's Department of Homeland Security, 650,000 people in this country illegally who've been convicted of a crime or awaiting trial on criminal charges. Maybe once that's been accomplished, with or without any support or assistance from the men and women on the left, maybe then we can have a sensible conversation about what legal immigration should look like in this country that's in America's interests.
And they've only captured 7,400 so far.
Yeah, long way to go.
Long way to go.
Well, I mean, we're 2 weeks in. But something else, too, I thought this was an interesting case out of Illinois. Did you see that the dude that is accused of stabbing his wife from Burbank, stabbing his wife in 2012, or killing his wife. I don't know if he stabbed her. Killing his wife in 2012 and then fled to Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she was. She was found stabbed to death in the bathtub, still wearing her wedding dress. He fled to Mexico. He was arrested Friday in Monterrey, Mexico, according to the FBI field office in Chicago. He was on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. Listen to this statement, though. See if you are intrigued by this statement. This is from the special agent in charge of the FBI field office in Chicago.
Okay.
The FBI is extremely appreciative of the Burbank Police Department, our law enforcement partners in Mexico, and the public for their tremendous investigative efforts and collaboration in the capture of this guy. The FBI will use all of its available resources to bring criminals to justice, no matter how much time has passed or where they may be in the world. Isn't it? Did you catch that? Anything about that statement intrigue you? The FBI is appreciative of the Burbank Police Department and our law enforcement partners in Mexico. The apprehension is the result of tireless teamwork by the FBI and the Burbank Police Department. We would like to commend the professionalism and dedication of everyone involved. Oh, I see. So local law enforcement can work with federal law enforcement to bring a fugitive wanted for murder for justice out of Mexico and back to the United States. But we can't work with federal law enforcement here locally to expel people in this country who are public safety threats. Can you explain the logic of that to me? Anybody? Governor? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of Governor Jay Belly, at 6:06, J6ers need not apply to work in Illinois state government. 6:06.
What to do. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
1 man dead in an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
The Trump tariffs go into effect tomorrow. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and the president admits.
May have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
Fox Business Network's Lydia Hu reports.
Imports from Canada and Mexico will face a 25% tariff, with Canadian energy facing a 10% levy, and imports from China will have a 10% tariff. Some warn that these tariffs could mean higher prices for consumers.
Mexico and Canada are vowing to retaliate. A contender to be Canada's next prime minister, Chrystia Freeland, tells CNN it's
utter madness. It is a betrayal of America's closest friend, of your ally, your neighbor, your best partner in the whole world.
New Interior Secretary Doug Burgum just told Fox.
This isn't a trade war with Canada or Mexico or China. This is about fentanyl. I mean, we've had mass invasion of our country, and we've been taking mass casualties.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will go to the southern border today in Texas as the Pentagon assists the Trump mass deportation of illegal immigrants who've committed crimes or are considered safety threats. Days after that mid-air collision, Fox's Madeline Rivera reports from Reagan National Airport.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says they're going to start lifting the aircraft as soon as first light comes up. They're then going to take the pieces that they recover, put it onto a flatbed trailer, bring it on over to a hangar where those pieces can then be investigated.
They'll look for more bodies, too. 55 of the 67 people killed when the American Airlines regional jet and Army helicopter crashed have been recovered from the Potomac River. They handed out the Grammys last night, paying tribute to victims and first responders in the deadly Los Angeles wildfire disaster. Firefighters gave out the Album of the Year award on CBS to Beyonce.
I just feel very full and very honored. It's been many, many years.
Beyonce's Cowboy Carter also won Country Album of the Year. Kendrick Lamar won 5 Grammys, including Song and Record of the Year for Not Like Us. America's listening to Fox News.
.39 degrees in Chicago. 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. Officers responded yesterday to the 1800 block of South Ridgeway Avenue. There, they chased a man on foot who turned and fired on Chicago police. Then gunfire was exchanged. The man was struck, treated at the scene by police, then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. The incident is under investigation by COPA. A homicide suspect in custody after being arrested in the central Illinois community of Rantoul. Police say officers executed a search warrant Friday in the 1100 block of Falcon Drive. A person who was wanted on a Cook County arrest warrant for the homicide was located inside the home and taken into custody. A woman is in custody after a man was found shot to death on the south side. The man was located yesterday inside of a home with a gunshot wound to the chest in the 8500 block of South Parnell. A unique demonstration today involves businesses shutting down and people being encouraged to stay home from work and school to protest the policies of President Donald Trump. Shops will join more than 60 locations in Illinois and California taking part in what they call immigrant protests.
We're going to not show up to work, not open up our businesses to show how strong we are.
Business owner Omar Corral, however, president and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Jaime DePaulo, saying that while he understands the passion behind the protest, he fears it will hurt more than help locally. Bulls had an ugly second quarter in a 127-119 loss to the Pistons. Kobe White, 22 in the losing effort. Before the game, Bulls trade Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings in a 3-team deal. Bulls acquire 3 pieces and their own 2025 draft pick that they had traded away in the deal. LaVine has spent the last 8 seasons here in Chicago. Rory McIlroy celebrates his 27th tour victory, finishing on top of the leaderboard at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Rory caps the Crosby Clam Bake at 21 under par. The news service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. You've been getting high quotes for dental implants. With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
on Sunday, February 9th, in a big football game.
The real name of which we aren't legally allowed to mention.
Two teams,
which we also can't legally identify,
will face off to determine the best team in the league.
Which, once again, we don't have permission to mention.
But if you can predict the exact score of this big game, you can win $50,000 big dollars.
Actual, real dollars.
For terms and conditions and to submit your prediction today, go to 560theanswer.com/game. That's 560theanswer.com/game.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit quickdelivery.com. That's quickdelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with quickdelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Ad paid for by Anthem Tax Services. Attention, if you or your business is behind in filing your tax returns, or if you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The IRS does not joke around and will not stop their collection efforts. If you're tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments and would like to get a fresh start, we can help. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle tax problems for those who owe more than $10,000. We can help settle your delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce your back taxes significantly. Even if you can't afford to pay your back taxes, you can still get the help you need. We've helped thousands of taxpayers just like you, but you must call 800-216-0307 today to stop your tax problem from getting worse. The information is free and the help is real. Call 800-216-0307. That's 800-216-0307. Again, 800-216-0307.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center this morning. I-57 report of an accident involving a semi southbound at Flossmoor Road. Cicero, police activity shutting down Cicero Avenue between Cermak and 21st. Report of an accident in the cleanup stages. Elmhurst, North Avenue, and the Eisenhower Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Couple of foggy spots this morning. Clouds and breaks of sun. Breezy, mild. High today 47. Partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 24. Clouds and cold for tomorrow and the high 30. Snow, sleet, and freezing rain Wednesday, high 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
38 at O'Hare, 43 Midway, 37 in Kankakee. Watch out for fog in and around DuPage Airport, where it is 38. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, listen up. March 4th is the date. That's the day that President Trump will make his first address to a joint session of Congress. And we are throwing a watch party, and you're invited to join us. We'll be at the Meridian Banquets and Conference Center in Rolling Meadows. We'll enjoy dinner before the speech and then watch the speech together. You'll hear from both of us and Sean Thompson before and after the speech with our analysis and reaction. And Sean will be broadcasting on location before the event. Tickets are on sale now. Don't call me and text me a week before the event and beg for tickets. Get your tickets today, right now. 560theanswer.com/watch. That's 560theanswer.com/watch. And there's a limited amount of tickets to sit at a table with either of us or with Sean. So if you want to hang out, make sure you get your tickets today. Do not wait. Our inauguration celebration brunch sold out, so don't end up on the waiting list on the outside looking in. Go to 560theanswer.com/watch and get your tickets today.
Speaking of President again, Trump, he Truth Socialed over the weekend in the direction of the land of Lincoln, what once was, I suppose. Sloppy J.B. Pritzker, the rotund governor from the once great state of Illinois, who makes Chris Christie look like a male model, and his family wanted him out of the business because he was so pathetic at helping them run it, has presided over the destruction and disintegration of Illinois at levels never seen before in any state. Crime is rampant, and people are sadly fleeing Illinois. Unless a change is made at the governor's level, Illinois can never be great again. I fact-checked that statement, and it's 100% true. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. At least you have to be encouraged that President, again, Trump is taking an interest in Illinois. If only more Illinoisans would take a similar interest. And among those things that I'm sure inspired President, again, Trump to comment in the direction of one Jay Belly was this missive that he issued on Friday. I am committed to building a state workforce that upholds our shared values and delivers results for the people of Illinois. Our state workforce must reflect the values of Illinois. Oh, God, no. And demonstrate honesty, integrity, and loyalty in serving the taxpayer. So which is it? The values of Illinois or demonstrating honesty, integrity, and loyalty? But I digress. No one who attempts to overthrow a government should serve in a government. So decreed Jay Belly, and that means to the CMS director, the rejection of candidates for state employment who have engaged in infamous or disgraceful conduct. The old infamous and disgraceful conduct standard for state government employment. To protect the integrity of our workforce and the safety of our state, I hereby direct CMS to apply the state personnel code and consider any participation in the January 6th insurrection as infamous and disgraceful conduct that is antithetical to the mission of the state. J6ers, you are hereby banished from the employment ranks of Illinois state government.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, do you think anyone that was in D.C. for Jan 6 would want to work for the state of Illinois, Dan?
Maybe not, but
now it makes me want them to work. It makes me want them to apply for state jobs.
Yeah, that's not really the point here. The disgraceful and the infamous and disgraceful conduct, quote unquote, that's statutory language, that prohibition on working in state government. Boy, oh boy. So, I mean, anybody see anything wrong with that?
What about BLM riders or Antifa, those, thugs? Are they banned from applying for state of Illinois positions?
Not covered.
Oh, uh-huh.
Joe in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, for those of us wishing that Democrats are going to change in Illinois, they're not. Just for the mere fact that there's too many people sucking off the government teat in Illinois. Now, Pritzker won't be able to do that nationally because he doesn't have enough people on the payroll.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons he's not going to be able to scale, pun intended, his candidacy at the national level. Yeah. What, banning J6ers? The 1,500 clemencies and pardons. But he says any participation in the January 6th insurrection. So does that mean if you even showed up to the Capitol? Participation, it doesn't say anything about arrest, conviction, pardon. It's broader than that. So if you showed up to the Capitol, I mean, perhaps there was a state worker, a municipal worker that was at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th of 2021. And, this is, hey, if it's good enough at the state level, why don't municipalities pick this up and run with it too?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro text line. You can also text us, I should say, on that very same number. I mean, isn't this discrimination? This is illegal. You can't do, I'm so sick of these hiring bans or do not hire lists that people get on. And a lot of it's for political reasons. And this is, a perfect example of that.
Well, you don't want to stand up.
Who does he think he is?
You don't want to stand up for people that engaged in bad conduct.
Well, you posed a question on Twitter. Does this apply to Biden family members? Dr. Fauci?
I mean, they may want to move to Illinois for a phony baloney job where they get paid a lot of money. I mean, they've all enjoyed phony baloney jobs where they get paid a lot of money. Why not retire to Illinois and grab onto one of those 7-figure pensions that people seem to like? Marty in Naperville.
Okay, just a question. Is this coming from the guy that is on a recording trying to buy a seat from Blago?
Yes. Yes. That guy.
Yeah,
yes,
he wanted
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Love me. I just need a job. I'll do anything.
Well, I would actually be interested to hear from anybody who is interested, is a J6er, was there at the Capitol, or like we spoke with Kevin Lyons a couple weeks ago, was there, was arrested, was convicted, was subsequently pardoned. Anybody, all of the above. Somebody that was there and nothing happened. Somebody that was there and maybe was arrested, but it didn't get to trial before you got pardoned. It's many of those cases. Or somebody like a Kevin Lyons who was there, was arrested, was convicted or pled out, same thing, was convicted, and then was pardoned. To anybody who's interested in or working in, you don't have to identify yourselves if you're working in state government. I don't want you to put a target on your back, but because there are some legal problems. I know.
Yeah, there are.
Jay Belly is a graduate of Georgetown Law. I know he's an officer of the court. I don't know if he keeps up his law license or not. If he is, I would add to Trump's call that Jay Belly be removed from office, that he should also be disbarred for this directive that he issued. There's a couple of legal problems with this.
Yeah.
And I'll get to them after George in Naperville.
Yes, they want to keep January 6th alive and well for their base. It's like a little blanket.
Yeah, it is. So, thanks for the call. Yeah,
All they have.
It's a cocoon that they can retire to bask in their moral righteousness, right? They always have that J6 card to play because they're the great protectors of our democracy, don't you know? It's interesting, the protectors of our democracy that have no problem, because I haven't heard much pushback to this, no problem with a governor who flouts federal and state law, because that's what he's doing here. In addition to federal and state laws that the left otherwise champions. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you must individually assess convictions as they directly relate to your jobs before deciding not to hire an applicant based on his or her criminal record. Well, he's making a blanket declaration that anybody who participated in January 6th, whatever participation means, pretty broad. So that's a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. I don't know if that's of any interest to anybody. I know there's a lot of people who...
Civil Rights Act.
who present themselves as, great champions of a landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act. So I don't know. They probably don't know it. They probably don't know all the provisions. They probably don't care. They're happy to make exceptions for people they don't like in terms of protection of the law, because that's the lawfare mentality of the left. In fact, I had an exchange on X with a person about this. Yeah, he's absolutely happy. Oh, I do, because you support, you on the left, don't you? If you support ex-cons with giving ex-cons employment opportunities, they've served their debt, they've done their time. Yep. They should be able to apply for jobs in state government or anywhere else, because we need people to have gainful employment. We want them to be independent. We want them to turn over a new leaf, and gainful employment is an important part of that, right? Yes. Oh, yeah, Dan. How about with J6ers? No, that's an exception.
There's no forgiveness. There's no redemption.
Because I don't like them.
Yeah, because I don't like their political views, so I'm just going to try and destroy them.
And if that would happen to somebody whose political views they liked, or if it happened to them, they'd be the first one, screaming oppression and racism and all the rest of it. At the state level, the Illinois Human Rights Act, if I just asked the left about the Illinois Human Rights Act, is that something you'd support? How many hands would go up?
Every single one.
Right. The Illinois Human Rights Act protects a person from being discharged, disciplined, denied employment, or denied promotions because of a conviction record without notice, and an interactive assessment of whether there's a substantial relationship between the conviction and the job. Is that what Jay Belly did here?
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy won't survive a lawsuit if one gets filed.
Well, that's exactly my point. That's why I'm asking for people to step forward. We're looking for plaintiffs.
Oh, is that what we're doing this morning?
Well, in part, and also trying to explain this and arm people with the actual law so they can go tell their liberal friends what rank hypocrites they are, and how you can't cloak yourself in the vanguard of democracy uniform and run around treading all over the rights of people you don't like as codified in state and federal law. Or if you want to, please explain why this is legitimate.
Another text
message. Anyone who participated in any other context, first of all, participation, that's like saying anybody who participated in a BLM march. Well, what if I didn't do anything wrong? I don't know. It says participation. So that's one. And then two is, okay, somebody who did something wrong and they paid the price for it. And then they came over the top, Biden did, as he did, for example, with drug crimes. En masse, drug crimes. Thousands. Nope. You can't work in state government because you had a drug conviction, and I don't care that Biden en masse overturned those convictions or commuted your sentences. Just explain it to me. Right.
Text message, he's a lunatic dictator.
Troy in St. John, Indiana.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I was present on that day. The only reason I didn't go in the building was one of the girls I was with fell and got mud on her pants, and we went back to get her some more jeans. But, man, we watched the Antifa people changing clothes, putting their Trump hats on backwards, and doing the breaking and entering. Didn't know about the feds at the time, but you know what was up with that.
Thanks for the call, Troy.
I saw them change. Remember when they took over the Columbus statue and injured police officers so badly one lost vision in his left eye? They changed simultaneously at the same time, put on the black jumpsuits and then had the black umbrellas and moved forward in a orderly fashion. Yeah.
Yes, those throwing bottles full of frozen water at police, injuring police at Grant Park, they are eligible for state employment.
Right. How many of them were arrested?
Dan in Salem, Wisconsin.
King Kritzner's law or decree is unenforceable because it's called selective practices.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Dan. By the way, just remember what the standards are for unemployment. I mean, right now, the state of Illinois, we brought to this a couple weeks ago, but let's bring it back. The state of Illinois is actually using your money to advertise its wares to prospective employees.
From your career.
Me? I want 3 weeks paid time off.
4 weeks. 5 weeks.
The very first year on the job.
I want a sense of fulfillment. I want to help people. I don't want a 50-hour work week.
Or 40. How about 37.5? I want to help the elderly. Help the sick. Have great coverage when I'm sick.
I want flexible hours. Work hybrid. I want work-life balance. Hey, it sounds like you want to work for the state.
Really?
Really. Really great careers, really great benefits. Visit work.illinois.gov.
I want 3 weeks paid time off. I don't
want
want to work
5
40
weeks.
hours a week.
I want to work 37.5 hours a week.
What is this 40 hours a week oppression? Tony and Roselle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Babies.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Sorry about my voice. What was the actual number of people on Jan 6 that were convicted of sedition, treason, or insurrection? And the number is 4. Every other crime was minor except for the assault on the officers. A vast majority got simple charges.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Roger, Southside.
Hi. Everything that we have going on in this state, this is what this guy's doing. This is until we cut it off, which means stop paying into it. That's the problem is that everybody's still getting paid here, from the lowest, form of life all the way to the top. Until we cut it off by either leaving or quit paying into it, it's going to continue on with the madness. I'm really hoping Trump really cuts our wings here, like so badly to the point where there's, let's get the bankruptcy going, let's get it rolling. And then, maybe we'll get rid of some of these people, the Preckwinkles, the Pritzkers, the JDs, the entire apparatus.
Thanks for the call, Roger. But yeah, I think it's missing the point. I really do. Until you have some people in the middle who consider themselves moderates and open-minded. I mean, the small percentage, maybe the 1 in 5 Illinoisans that actually are in that bucket. Like, I'm not really affiliated with either party. I'm not really committed to the R's or the D's. I don't really like JB. I don't really like the Republicans. I don't even know if they exist anymore. Like that group of people. Until that group of people can look beyond Jelly Belly's, all societal ills begin and end with Donald Trump blame shifting, until they can look past that and really make some assessments on the merits. I don't think so. Like the whole, withholding federal funds for this or for that in Illinois. First of all, it's not going to expedite bankruptcy. Illinois is not going into bankruptcy. It's obviously not going to get bailed out. Chicago's not going into bankruptcy. The General Assembly won't authorize it. So they'll continue to limp along in a state of disrepair. You have to have a mentality change here. It's not just cutting off federal funds. That's not going to be enough. You have to make arguments and persuade people, expose the fraud that is Jelly Belly. Continue to provide the information and drive the messaging. The way, frankly, that has happened, the way it's happened on matters like border security and illegal immigration that moved a lot of people over the course of the last 4 years.
Yep.
I mean, you're not just, yes, I agree policy-wise with imposing penalties for bad and really extra legal actions taken by Jay Belly and the rest of the political class in this state. But if you think that's going to be the magic bullet, I think you're mistaken. Anthony, Northside.
Yeah, this is Anthony. How you guys doing this morning? I just wanted to mention to you guys that, a lot of us that work for the government, so to speak, are Trump supporters. Shortly after Trump was elected in the presidency, we received some literature as far as not having any, any emblems of support to any candidacy. Prior to that, they were pushing, for a certain candidate, but theirs lost, and now they're telling us we can't have any hats or shirts or stickers or whatever else at our work sites. I think that's suppressing our, our voices and our, freedom of expression. Is it not? Is it wrong?
Well, at least you don't have to put the pronouns on your email signatures anymore, your preferred pronouns.
Exactly.
So there's progress.
Exactly.
Thanks for the call, Anthony. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggie supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being. Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The Canucks cry foul over Trump's tariffs. We'll start there with Jim Urio, 636.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
632, Dan and Amy. And topping our news, Canada's ambassador to the U.S. says her country will respond to those tariffs announced by the Trump administration. Kirsten Hillman telling ABC's This Week, if the two countries are unable to reach an agreement, Canada will place tariffs on U.S. goods.
That Canada wants to do. This is not a path that we are interested in going down. We are actually interested in being and continuing to be your best customer.
The opening bell rings this morning, the first trading session since the president imposed tariffs over the weekend on Mexico, Canada, and China. Stock futures are now continuing a downward trend, down around 600 at last check. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy calling for changes in air traffic control following a pair of aviation disasters.
Our air traffic control system, it's antiquated. A lot of the systems we use date back to World War II.
Appearing on CNN State of the Union, Duffy saying the U.S. uses outmoded methods of control, adding that needs to change to bring up the safety of travelers using American airports. Authorities are still searching for clues after a medical transport jet crashed in northeast Philadelphia, killing 7 on board. The NTSB has also released video from the crash site.
New images of the force of impact from the deadly plane crash in northeast Philadelphia. Investigators standing in the crater left behind. That's where they found a key piece of evidence, the cockpit voice recorder. 6
on board were killed. The jet went down Friday evening. 1 man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. Officers responded yesterday to a call of a robbery in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. There, they chased a man on foot who fired at police. Gunfire was only then exchanged, and the man was hit. He was treated at the scene by officers and then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. Officers were also treated at nearby hospitals. In other news this morning, Sunday marks 17 years since the Lane Bryant murders rocked Tinley Park. As time has gone on, the storefront has changed. The reward leading for info that could bring an arrest has increased to over $100,000, but the murders remain unresolved. Governor Pritzker continues to try and elevate his status nationally, tried attacking President Trump over his strategic tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Canada is Illinois' largest export market.
The people of Illinois, the people of the United States are going to pay the price for what Donald Trump is doing. Let me tell you, Canada and Mexico are our two largest trading partners here in Illinois. We get most of our natural gas and also gasoline from north, right, from Canada.
And a branch of the Illinois Republicans is calling out their party's leader in Springfield. The Illinois Freedom Caucus, made up of 6 state representatives and 1 senator, is accusing House Minority Leader Tony McCombie of playing games with Democrats after she denied several services at the Capitol for not voting for her as leader. State Representative Blaine Wilhauer is vice chairman of that group.
You know, at the end of the day, what she's doing here is she's punishing tax-paying voters. You know, we each represent 108,000 people, give or take.
Wilhauer says it's time for new party leadership in the state.
I think the only way to unify the caucus at this point is for her to step aside. That would be the most unifying thing that could happen.
This comes after Aaron Del Mar, the co-chair of the Illinois Republican Party, abruptly resigned, saying Republican principles of transparency and integrity have been compromised. Bulls lost to the Pistons 127-119. Then trading Zach LaVine to Sacramento in a 3-team deal. Bulls acquire 3 pieces and their own 2025 draft pick that they had traded away. Ben Johnson adding a Super Bowl winning assistant to his Bears coaching staff, hiring Eric Bieniemy as running backs coach over the weekend. College hoops yesterday, the Fighting Illini, a strong second half to beat Ohio State 87-79. The news service, A Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
About what he sees from his president.
I have never had so much fun coming into work as I am now these days. 1 week into the Trump administration, Trump 2.0, I can't get to work fast enough. There was some traffic today driving into work. I thought, no, don't slow me down. I got to get into work. We got to take to the airwaves. There is so much happening.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
So, how's the separation going? Are you guys able to work things out?
No. I think we're headed for divorce.
That sucks. Gonna be an expensive legal battle?
Well, no, that's one thing we agree on, actually. Arbitration.
Arbitration? Like mediation?
Sort of, but better. We'll have a firm decision.
Oh, that's easier. Who's your arbitrator?
Bert Hochberg.
That attorney at Schiller, DeCanto, and Fleck?
Yeah, senior partner. Comes highly recommended.
Are you facing divorce or a family law issue? Burton S. Hochberg offers arbitration services, a dispute resolution process that will save you time, money, and the complexity of litigation. Let Burton hear and resolve your claims with choices that best suit you and yours. To discuss, call Bert directly. Or even better, have your attorney call Bert at 773-255-6150. That's 773-255-6150. Again, 773-255-6150.
No one knows arbitration like Bert Hochberg.
Why go through a difficult divorce? Paul Bernard, Schiller, Ducantu, and Fleck, Chicago's preeminent family law firm since 1981.
Family life is a crazy adventure filled with love and laughter, but it can also be demanding with work schedules, after-school activities, and trying to remember where you put your keys. It leaves you wondering, where does the time go? With so much going on, it can be easy to lose sight of your family's well-being. Balance of Nature fruits and veggie supplements offer an easy way to get a wide variety of whole food ingredients for your whole family. Don't let a busy schedule get in the way of your family's well-being. Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
641 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of ExpressPros.com. Forget about recruiting, sifting through resumes and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to ExpressPros.com. You'll find the location near you at ExpressPros.com. On the Eisenhower, all jammed up on the outbound side between the Tri-State and York Road due to an earlier accident. Delays in Cicero. Cicero in both directions remain shut down between Cermak and 21st, all due to police activity. Buses, by the way, are also being rerouted this morning. Bloomingdale, report of an accident, Lake Street and Glen Ellen Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and mild, clouds and breaks of sun. High 47. 38 at O'Hare. 43 along Chicago's lakefront. And your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Back after the election, you recall that Trump met with that grade school drama teacher that the Canadians made their prime minister, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, he was on hands and knees with his tail between his legs going down to Mar-a-Lago for some reason.
Yeah, and this is how that meeting went, Trump doing the post-mortem on that post-election meeting with Trudeau.
Well, I just got done with a beautiful meeting with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. He sits when he pees. He doesn't want you to know that, but he does it. Everybody knows it. But you look at it, I said, Justin, we're going to slap you so hard with tariffs. He said, sir, please don't talk dirty to me. You know I love being slapped. I said, not like that, Justin. We're going to hit you so hard with tariffs, and you're not going to know what hit you. You have to close your border. You have to help us with our border. He said, we're not going to do it. I said, okay, we're going to cut off your supply of soy. He said, sir, please don't do that. I need my soy. Justin Trudeau is the #1 consumer of soy in the entire world. He consumes more soy than any nation or any man, anybody ever thought possible. He consumes so much soy. I said, Justin, you must take after your mother because Fidel Castro was definitely not a soy boy. He said, sir, please don't cut off my soy. Please don't hit us with tariffs. It's going to hurt our economy. I said, if that's the case, you could become our 51st state. He said, but sir, what are you going to do with all the moose? I said, I've been handling moose for a very long time, and we're going to change the plural of moose to mooses, by the way. I've been handling mooses for a very long time. Chris Christie, you may have heard of him. Stacey Abrams, Rosie O'Donnell. These are some of the biggest mooses the world has ever seen, and we handled them like nothing. I said, Justin, do we have a deal? No tariffs, no soy if you don't close the border. He said, sir, you've got yourself a deal, and we may very well add Canada, too, at the end of the day. They may become our 51st state if they don't play ball. But for now, we have a deal. And Justin Trudeau returned back to Canada, sat down, took a nice leak, and went to bed. It's the art of the deal at work. We are making America great again, believe me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, apparently that deal fell apart, although I do like the idea of demanding that the plural of moose be mooses.
Yeah, that's good.
Much like renaming the Gulf of Mexico. I do like that. That was Sean Farish, actually, not President Trump. I sometimes get the two confused. But back in the real world, that same soy boy, Justin Trudeau, did have this to say in response to the announcement that Trump would be imposing tariffs on Canada as well as Mexico and China, effective this weekend. Trudeau's response, just choose Canada.
And now is also the time to choose Canada. There are many ways for you to do your part. It might mean checking the labels at the supermarket and picking Canadian-made products. It might mean opting for Canadian rye over Kentucky bourbon.
Oh, no.
Or foregoing Florida orange juice altogether. It might mean changing your summer vacation plans to stay here in Canada and explore the many national and provincial parks, historical sites, and tourist destinations our great country has to offer.
Oh, man. I mean, that guy really does pee sitting down. I mean, hey, I hate to break it to you, Justin, but 40% of Canada's GDP is related to exporting about 3/4 of their exports to the United States. So it's a little bit more severe than just saying, hey, everybody drink Molson Golden.
Bats is coming back, right?
Yeah, that's not going to be enough. Chrystia Freeland, who was a former deputy PM, and now she's running for PM. She's of the same ilk of Trudeau, went on CNN and was, equally simpering and whimpering and pathetic.
Americans have to understand how hurt and frankly how furious Canadians are. Our sovereignty is being challenged. And so, regular Canadians across the country are coming up with ways to stand for Canada, to fight for Canada, to defend Canada, but mostly to say to our American neighbors, guys, just cut it out. Just stop it. This is a terrible idea. And yes, we are going to use all the tools in our toolbox. You mentioned a little bit earlier how the United States depends on China, critical minerals and metals that you need for semiconductors, that you need to build electric vehicles. Well, guess who also produces those? Canada. You depend on us for a lot, and we are happy to work together, but it's got to be a two-way street.
This is a David and Goliath relationship in terms of economic power. And this is not to say there will not be costs imposed by reciprocal tariffs that will not be costs imposed on American consumers, because there will be. But they are completely approaching this the wrong way. The Canadians, as you would expect. By the way, those two knuckleheads that you just heard from are the same people that debanked their own citizens.
Right.
I mean, these are the Freedom Convoy goons, or, they were the goons responding to the Freedom Convoy with authoritarian policies. So, now they're wrapping themselves in the flag because Trump is more than a little upset about the open borders policies, north and south, which is what this is primarily about, that not only have resulted in the incursion of fentanyl, both directions, and the resultant deaths from fentanyl overdoses, these drug and human traffickers. But also, many people will probably be surprised to learn, over the last several years, more people have entered this country from the north who are on the terrorist watch list than from the south. In addition to that, the open borders policies in Canada itself that in part jeopardize American national security. The number of people on the terrorist watch list is one thing. There's some 600,000 student visa holders in Canada that Canada has no idea where they are.
Nope. A lot of them from India, too. Yeah.
Just like we have no idea where hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children are. I mean, it's not like the Biden administration was any better, but the point here is that the open borders policies in North America are coming to an end, and Trump wants participation from our our northern and southern trading partners, doesn't he? And that was the point that J.D. Vance made on Bartiromo over the weekend.
We'll see what happens, but I think, unfortunately, the retaliation has already happened. The problem with this whole idea that they're going to retaliate is they have already been taking advantage of America for decades. The retaliation is Donald Trump saying no more. We're not going to be taken advantage of anymore, and I think it's important the president is doing what he's doing. Now, look, it looks different ways and comes in different forms, whether you're talking about Canada or China or Mexico. We know that Mexico has allowed the facilitation of the illegal drug trade and illegal sex trafficking for years and has done nothing about it. If they want to be a better partner to us, the time starts now. We know the Chinese, of course, have stolen American manufacturing jobs for 30, 40 years, and also that they facilitated the trafficking of illegal fentanyl into Mexico, where the drug cartels then bring it into our country. We are sick of being taken advantage of. We still have, thank God, the biggest economy in the entire world, the best people and the best workers, but the message from President Trump to the entire world is very clear. We are done being taken advantage of.
Jim Iurio is host of the Future's Edge podcast, special contributor WirePoints, wirepoints.org, and also proprietor of Branson Palatine. Jim, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I mean, I'm not a fan of tariffs as general economic policy, but for the limited purpose of sending a message to those three countries that J.D. Vance just went through, I'm not overly offended.
No, and to keep something in mind, too, I am not convinced at all that Donald Trump is a big fan of tariffs, despite the fact that every time he comes on air, he talks about how he loves the word and loves tariffs. To me, it sounds like a guy who's planning on using those as a cudgel to get people to do what they want. And this was really, really interesting in that when you're going to impose tariffs on China, it's very clear what we want. We want them to drop the tariffs on us, stop pumping in fentanyl, stop stealing our technology. When he all of a sudden announces the tariffs on Canada and Mexico, it's a little more complicated than that, and the goals are a little less clearly defined. And that's one of the reasons that the market has reacted the way it has overnight, which, by the way, is not a huge reaction. We're down about 1.5% in the S&P. But one thing, you said something before about David and Goliath relationship. All I want people to do is look at what happened to the currency pairs when this news started to surface. The dollar went straight up and the Canada went straight down. So the market is telling us that, yes, this is David and Goliath relationship, and Canada probably in the end has to test the case. But that guy, I like to limit personal tax, but I suspend that for that Trudeau. When he talks, he sounds like the petty, wimpy guy who is maybe capable of doing something stupid just out of spite. And again, like you said, as soon as he got a taste of authoritarianism a couple of years ago, he jumped into that pretty quickly. So I don't really trust him in this negotiation much more than I trust Trump.
Well, I've kept hearing it all weekend long how, if tariffs do take place, that Canada is going to become a third world country. Can you explain?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to hurt their economy a lot more than it does ours, and it could hurt both economies. But Canada is not; it's not nearly on the same footing economic-wise. I mean, and think of Germany too. Germany is already declining. If he starts tightening the screws on the EU, it could hurt these economies. Both these economies could go south in a hurry. Canada needs to sell. They sell 4 million barrels a day of energy. Of crude. Canada needs that to have their economy going. Now, keep in mind, like in major urban areas in Canada, the real estate market has been booming for years and years. It doesn't take much to change things. Which actually, I want to bring up another point by that too. Is that one thing I don't think Donald Trump completely understands, because his history has always been in real estate, and he doesn't maybe understand general economics in the market as much. I don't mean to sound like a know-it-all, but I think it's once things start to head south, it's difficult to take you out of a tailspin, regardless of even removing what the reason was that pushed you there. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm ranting a little bit.
No, I mean, it absolutely does make sense, and all you have to do is look at Smoot-Hawley in the 30s and how that accelerated the Great Depression. and extended it. I mean, arguably. I mean, don't listen to me on it. Read Milton Friedman's scholarship on it if you're skeptical. But that's why I say here. I know the Wall Street Journal opined, with the sort of dumbest trade war ever. This makes no sense. There's no reason for this. But I disagree. I do think you need to impose at least short-term costs to show seriousness and severity on people who are compromising your national security. And in the case of those three countries, the evidence is overwhelming.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, too. Forgive me for me having some trepidation because I do see a stock market that's a little bit stretched.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if that cracks and all of a sudden people start heading for the exits, it could cause us pain, which, by the way, I've been saying for 3 months that 2025 is going to be a rocky road. You don't make a transition from what we had before to what we're going to have in the future without it being somewhat inelegant. And I think markets are going to have a difficult time, too. It's hard to get really a risk appetite when you don't know where the next shoes are up. Even Jerome Powell said that at the presser. He said, we got to figure out what the economic policy is going to be before we know how we can react to it. And that's a metaphor for really all of us. You got to know, you're going to buy, if this is going to go on for 2 months, are you going to buy the auto manufacturers? Well, no, because they're not going to make money if this is going on for months and months.
But I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm in 100% alignment. But it comes back to this idea that we always talk about in Econ 101 that we live in a world of trade-offs. Well, policy trade-offs too. And for Freeland to talk about their sovereignty is being threatened. No, actually, it's our sovereignty that's being threatened by your policies, and that's what we're reestablishing. And sometimes to reestablish your sovereignty, if you've got allies that are not behaving in an allied fashion, you have to be willing to suffer some short-term economic costs. And that's something that the American people have to be leveled with about. But they're trade-offs because this will have an impact at minimum on the margins.
So sure. So we then have our job cut off because the question becomes, is the American people, are they forward-thinking enough to know that the short-term pain they're going to be feeling? And it's easy for us to say on this call, but there's a lot of people out there on the margins who are living paycheck to paycheck, and it might be difficult for them. So then how will they vote in 2 years at the midterm? Because if you blow this, like you said, Thomas Sowell, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. And so this is one of the things I worry about. But to your point, yes, we have to do these things. If we want to get to the place that Donald Trump told us we could get, it doesn't take 3 months. It takes a year and a half to get us going again. And it's all I'm saying is it's going to be a little bit rocky, but I do think it's probably the right way to go, to your point.
Jim Uriel is host of the Future's Edge podcast. He's also a special contributor to wirepoints.org, and he is the proprietor of Brandt's Restaurant in Palatine. Jim, thank you as always.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
There is a place in northern Illinois that people have come from all around the globe seeking treasure.
It's amazing. I didn't know what to expect, but when I got there, I was surrounded by all kinds of gold and silver.
An actual place where you're surrounded by treasure?
I've known that gold and silver were a good investment, but I really didn't want to buy it through the mail. At Fox Valley Coins, I basically walked in, picked out what I wanted, paid cash, and walked out with gold and silver.
Walk in with paper and walk out with actual gold and silver bars. For decades, Fox Valley Coins has traded paper dollars for actual gold and silver. They buy and sell. The treasure map is available at foxvalleycoins.com. They are on Route 59, 1 light north of I-88 in Naperville, Illinois. Again, for info and the map, seek foxvalleycoins.com.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
He'll talk to Canadian and Mexican leaders today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but President Trump says,
I don't expect anything very dramatic.
Ahead of his plan to impose tariffs, Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports from the White House.
Mexico, Canada, and China account for more than 40% of imports into the U.S. But unless President Trump changes his mind, which he says that he won't, tomorrow he'll be imposing a 25% tariff on all goods from Canada and Mexico, 10% on Canadian energy, and 10% on all goods from China to respond to illegal immigration and drug trafficking.
Both Canada and Mexico are vowing to retaliate, so the president says Americans may feel some pain as Democratic Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer warns the trade war is going to cost us.
If you want to go after foreign countries, don't do it at the expense of the American consumer who's going to pay more. That's the number one thing people want, prices to go down. The tariffs make prices go up.
And when the president spoke at Joint Base Andrews last night, returning from Florida, he also talked about a shakeup at the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Well, it's been run by a bunch of radical lunatics, and we're getting them out.
USAID has instructed its staff not to go to headquarters today after Elon Musk, in charge of the new government Department of Efficiency, took over USAID's computer systems, putting 50 senior staffers with the agency on administrative leave. After all the immigration raids since the Trump return to the White House, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will go to the southern border today. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's also gone to Texas, telling Fox,
my job is to uphold the law, follow federal law when it comes to immigration in our systems and deporting criminals.
It was a big night for music. They handed out the Grammys.
The big winners were Kendrick Lamar, who took home 5 awards, including Record and Song of the Year for Not Like Us, and Beyonce, who took home the night's biggest awards, Best Country Album and Album of the Year.
That's Michelle Polino. America's listening to Fox News.
39 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. Officers responded yesterday to a call of a robbery in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. There, they chased a man on foot who turned and fired on police. Gunfire was exchanged, and the man was struck. He was treated at the scene by police and then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. The incident remains under investigation by COPA. 2 men accused of a horrific murder in Norwood Park are back in jail after appearing inside a Cook County courtroom over the weekend. A 21-year-old and 29-year-old man are accused in the death of 63-year-old George Levin at his home on the evening of Sunday, January 23rd. An employee at O'Hare is seriously hurt after the wing of a plane hit a luggage cart tug. The victim was attempting to cross a taxiway Saturday night when the tug he was driving was struck by the wing of that aircraft. Driver was taken to the hospital in critical condition. His condition has since stabilized. A unique demonstration this week involves businesses shutting down and people being encouraged to stay home from work and school. The shops, mostly owned by Hispanic Chicagoans, will join more than 60 locations around the country, including California, taking part in the protest.
We're going to not show up to work, not open up our businesses to show how strong we are.
However, the president and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Jaime DePaulo, saying while he understands the passion behind the local protest, he fears it will hurt more than help. A West Side organization dedicated to supporting young people at risk of going to jail is expanding and aiming to offer a second chance to young men. The new $22.5 million site for the Lawndale Christian Legal Center involves 20 studio living spaces for 18 to 25-year-old men with criminal cases. Along with having a place to live for up to 3 years, the men will have access to legal services. Bulls had an ugly loss to the Pistons, 127-119, and they trade Zach LaVine to Sacramento in a 3-team deal. College hoops. Fighting Illini had a wonderful second half, strong, and they beat Ohio State 87-79. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins, currently buying all gold and silver bars, coins, silver dollars, rare date, proof, and mint sets. Visit foxvalleycoins.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Are you ready for it? The biggest game of the year is almost here. Will the reigning champs shake it off and defend their title? Or will the birds from Philly write their own love story and fly to victory? This showdown is the one you won't want to miss. Predict the exact score of the big game, and you could win $50,000 big dollars. For terms and conditions and to submit your prediction today, go to 560theanswer.com/game. That's 560theanswer.com/game.
Fellas, Dan Proft here. Let's talk about getting back to your best. If you lack energy, muscle mass, feel moody, or have low libido, it could be low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer, but guys aren't all the same, so don't settle for a standard dosage TRT program. I learned about the personalized treatment at Low T Center and the results you can expect with customized TRT. And for current patients, Low T Center offers a $150 referral credit when you refer a new patient. So go to lowtcenter.com and book an appointment. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and we'll start on the Kennedy, where it's already jammed up outbound between Montrose and Harlem. 25 inbound from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Already 30 minutes in climbing on the outbound trip to O'Hare. Outbound Eisenhower accident left shoulder right at Central. And due to an earlier accident, still big delays outbound between the Tri-State and Newark Road on 290. Delays in Cicero. Cicero Avenue shut down both directions between Cermak and 21st due to police activity. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Here is Steve Williams.
A bit of fog this morning, otherwise clouds and sun. Breezy, mild day, high 47. Partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 24. Cloudy tomorrow, the high 30. Some snow, sleet, and freezing rain Wednesday, the high 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
38 at O'Hare. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Lots of geopolitical developments to get to over the weekend with Stephen Bucci. We have 3 more hostages released in Gaza, including an American-Israeli hostage, first American to be released in this alleged détente, this deal, phase 1 of the deal period. We've got a half a dozen Americans held captive in Venezuela that Rick Grinnell got released, somewhat of a pleasant surprise from his visit to Maduro. We got airstrikes against an ISIS outpost in Somalia. But before we get to that, just the culture change inside our national security and federal law enforcement agencies, and some of the hue and cry you're hearing from the left about it. We mentioned earlier in the program Hegseth at DOD announcing the end to identity months. We're not doing, wear your BLM sweaters on Friday in February business anymore. We're not doing that. President Trump tweeting out that federal workers are not to include their preferred pronouns in their email signatures and so forth anymore. We're not doing preferred pronouns anymore. And at FBI, DEI is ending. DEI is DEAD, as Trump said. And the go-to guy for MSNBC is retired FBI agent Frank Figliuzzi, who's really, he's just as hysterical as any of those mouth-breathing news readers at MSNBC, propaganda readers. They don't do news. What am I talking about? This is what he had to say with Ari Melber. Talk about a meeting of the minds. With the picture of some wall being painted that had all these leftist buzzwords on it, diversity, inclusion, so on and so forth, that's being painted over because that's part of the DEI propaganda that's, going the way of the dodo bird. Here's Figliuzzi's reaction.
Any semblance of diversity and inclusion is literally being wiped off the map. The New York Times put out a photo today of the walls of Quantico, the FBI Academy, where they're painting over the FBI's core values to include integrity, adherence to the Constitution, and diversity. A less diverse FBI is a less effective FBI. Try doing surveillance on the street in the inner city with 2 white guys. Try working undercover in a Middle Eastern terror organization with a white guy. It doesn't work that way. So we're becoming less and less safe very quickly.
Understood. I mentioned...
It's just asinine. It's just so asinine. This is the specious arguments they make, just like when they conflate illegal immigration with legal immigration. No one is opposing people of different racial and ethnic and religious backgrounds being an FBI, but the basis of their employment at the FBI is not their identity as much as their competency. This is just such a complicated concept. Diversity doesn't need a steward. It happens naturally when you have a meritocracy because people from a lot of different walks of life have a lot of different talents and capacities. So the idea that, right, if you don't have diversity painted on a wall, diversity is our strength, which is an Orwellian phrase, by the way. That the irony is completely lost on the Figliuzzis of the world. If you don't have diversity painted on a wall, then you're going to have a lack of capacity when it comes to incurring into street gangs and otherwise advancing the cause of public safety. The whole thing is absurd. Figliuzzi is an absurd character, and MSNBC is an absurd network. But the arguments need to be made over and over again. By the way, Hegseth has explicitly said that diversity is our strength as the mantra at DOD is asinine, and it's over. We don't need to emphasize that. We need to emphasize combat readiness. We need to do things that are in the interests of the warriors. And that's exactly right. Warriors of all sizes and stripes. MEI, merit, excellence, integrity. DEI. There's your choice. There's your choice between the two sides. For more on all this, Stephen Bucci joins us for our weekly confab. He served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official. Now visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be on the show, Dan. Thank you for having me back again.
The culture change, the culture shift is Figliuzzi's concerns notwithstanding. What do you sense is the rank and file response at, for example, DOD?
I think people in DOD, people in the law enforcement organizations that I work together with, in my other jobs in government, are all people who focus on competence. They don't care what you look like. If you can protect their back in a bad situation, if you can do your job to the level that is expected, they're perfectly fine with you. You don't have to look like me to be good. In fact, there's a lot of people who look absolutely nothing like me that are better than me at a whole bunch of things. We need to hire the people who are the most competent, regardless of how they look. I know the DEI people go crazy, but we need to go back to the colorblind idea that it doesn't matter what somebody looks like. Look, I had a sergeant when I was a young lieutenant, and he got asked by a black general, well, what's the racial component of this platoon? And this guy who was a Jew from Hawaii, a little bit of diversity there, he looked at him, he goes, I don't know, sir. And the general was aghast. What do you mean you don't know? He goes, they're all green. They do their job. I know their names. I know their wives. I don't really care what color they are, as long as they can do what I ask them to do. And the general, this was back in the 70s, so the general was just, he didn't know what to say. That's what we need to go back to.
Right. Well, exactly. And in these institutions with these politicians like Figliuzzi, I'm sure was at FBI, given his performance on MSNBC, it's just the same old rap. It's the same old rap you hear with Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, these poverty pimps on the outside that are shakedown artists. All it is, there was bad times in America where there was institutional racism, and that was wrong, and we're going to pretend that it's 1963 Selma forever. I mean, that's just what they want to do.
Yeah, and that's just absurd. Agreed, 63 was bad. We needed to change a lot of stuff. We have changed it. We've changed it tremendously. Not perfectly yet, but tremendously. But we don't need to institutionalize racism in the other direction, which is what DEI does. It causes more friction between people than solving any problem. And that's not positive, particularly when you're in organizations where your life depends on the camaraderie, the connection that's there. Again, I've been in units that were predominantly black. I've been in units that had more Hispanics than anything else. I've never been in a unit that was predominantly female, but I've been in units with females and worked for females. Nobody cares as long as they can do their job.
Speaking of nobody caring, Rick Grinnell, who happens to be gay, nobody cares. He was Trump's NSA, special envoy. He was sent over to talk to a bloodthirsty dictator named Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. And Rick Grinnell got 6 of our people, 6 Americans, out of captivity there. And we also have compliance with Venezuela accepting Tren de Aragua goons, gangbangers, back to Venezuela. We're going to repatriate those people in this country illegally from Venezuela.
And they're going to pay for it.
Who pose a public safety threat. And that was a quick about face. Now I'm a little intrigued by what details, what Venezuela gets in return. Maybe, I don't know, Chevron's special license over there. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I'm happy with what we got. But do you have any idea what Venezuela got?
I don't, but I do have pretty good faith in Rick Grinnell. He is a tough, smart man. He's not he's not John Kerry going to, negotiate with moms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick is going to push a tough deal. So I'm comfortable trusting him that we didn't get screwed with that deal and that he got those people back for a cost that is reasonable and appropriate for getting American citizens back.
What are your thoughts on Trump sending violent illegals to Gitmo?
Until we get sorted out with all these countries that they're going to take their people back, which is, obviously, it took 2 steps with Colombia. It's taken Rick Grinnell to go talk to Venezuela. We don't want to keep them inside the United States proper. There's too many rules kick in with that. And I'm not talking about being mean to them. I'm talking about they get left in the U.S. judicial system, which they don't belong in. They're not American citizens. So taking them to Gitmo for short periods of time until we can arrange their repatriation to their home countries makes more sense than keeping them, say, in Texas. That's why we had the terrorists there, is because we wanted to keep those folks, away from all of the benefits of the American system that's there for American citizens. But our legal system is such that if they're on American soil, they have access to those systems. So this is, I think, a smart move. Plus, there's facilities there. We don't have to build something new, and that makes good fiscal sense.
I wanted to get back to what I mentioned at the outset, which is 3 more hostages released by Hamas. This phase 1 of this deal. Gideon Black writing in the Free Press, the Hamas leader who arranged for the killing of my cousin and attempted to have me killed got out of prison January 25th as part of the ceasefire agreement. He had served 22 years of what were supposed to be 6 life sentences, 1 for each person whose murder he orchestrated. Yoni Jesner, my cousin and closest friend, was 19 years old when a Hamas suicide bomber, who this Hamas terrorist dispatched, murdered him and 5 others on a bus in Tel Aviv in 2002. More than 2 decades later, emotional scarring from that bombing, which I survived by the slightest margin, is still etched into my soul, so are physical scars on my torso. Time, it turns out, does not heal all wounds. His point is to say, obviously these are his words, I weep with happiness as the hostages return home, but how can this be the price of their liberation? This deal, I mean, it's a tough one because you have 3 hostages released and you celebrate that, but all of these Hamas killers who we are releasing in exchange, thinking even medium term, and this difficult assessment of the trade-offs here. What is your assessment of this deal?
Remember, it's not our deal; it's an Israeli deal. And,
yeah, but we brokered it.
It's true, but the Israelis, this is what they do to get their citizens out. They give away, 100 convicted killers. They're not hostages. They're convicted people who had, fair trials and were convicted and let them go to get one of their citizens out. That's their modus operandi. I don't like it. I think they should have done some better vetting as to who they let go, not just wholesale. But this is their thing. We're the adjunct to this, not the ones driving the train. So no, I don't like the fact that some of those people have been released. They're horrific people. I just hope they were issued their pager free of charge from the Israeli people before they were released.
The airstrikes that DOD Secretary Hegseth authorized against ISIS Somalia in the Golis Mountains over the weekend. What is happening in the African theater with respect to Islamist terrorism, and how much involvement, support is being provided by the Chinese Communist Party to these Islamist terrorists to create problems for America in North Africa in particular?
I'm not sure how much the Chinese are brokering this, though I'm sure if they were asked, they would be more than happy to help. Most of this is coming from other Muslim countries, and not necessarily the government. Sometimes it's wealthy individuals in those countries. But the Islamist threat is still there. It has not gone away. It's been lessened for a while, and now it's starting to come back. It's one of those things that if you stop squashing the cockroaches, they start to breed and they multiply. So that's a problem, and it's something hopefully now with the new administration in, like we did over the weekend, we'll be paying attention to that, and when those cockroaches pop up, we'll squish them.
Do you have any, I just have to ask because of your military background, the DCA crash last week with the American Airlines flight and the Black Hawk helicopter. On the Black Hawk helicopter side of it, do you have any perspective on operations that go on at Reagan National, both military and civilian side by side, and how that Black Hawk helicopter could have been at the same elevation as that that American Airlines flight that was on final approach?
Well, it's a very busy piece of airspace. There's a ton of military stuff flying around there, mostly helicopters. The fixed wing are usually out at Andrews on the other side of the river. But the helicopters are all over the place between the units that take care of all the VIPs. They fly out of mostly Bowling Air Force Base, but the Army ones come out of Fort Belvoir down Davis Army Airfield, and it's busy. Now, why this guy was at the 350-foot mark when all the experts are now saying that they're supposed to fly at about 200, if that sentence is true, then there was a pilot error. Somebody screwed up and had that those guys were at the wrong altitude. I don't know what to. We need to let the NTSB finish their job before we really pass any judgment. And I got to tell you, the NTSB does not work any faster than the perfection that they go for, and that's going to be very frustrating for everybody. But we need to let them do their job because it's worked for a lot of years at getting to the real truth of why one of these tragic incidents occur. And this one's pretty complex, so it's going to take them a bit.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's always my pleasure, guys. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Madras table and chairs at Penny Mustard remind me of the classic cartoon set in the future.
With George and Jane.
Daughter Judy.
And his boy Elroy. Huh?
The Madras table looks like something you'd see in one of those movies set in the distant future. Only it's here now.
Just like the future.
How is that?
The future is now.
It is?
Well, it was, but that's in the past. Now the future is now. No, wait. It's now. And here it is again.
You're right about the Madras table. The sleek, futuristic design stands out from all the other handcrafted solid wood tables at Penny Mustard.
I see this table in my future.
But the future is now.
Fine. Then I want my flying car now.
Look to the future with the Madras table and chairs, starting at $59.42 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want. Now.
Penny Mustard Furnishings.
Guys, if you just don't have that youthful energy like you used to, it could be low T. Have you thought of getting your testosterone levels checked? Don't put it off. Get tested. If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass or low libido, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Don't wait, find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, for each patient. Their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. They're not just basic standard treatments. For current patients, Low T offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medications. So get back to your best. Visit lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Tell them Dan Prof sent you when you do. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time it's the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. Not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom. Building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hi. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll pick up on the conversation we started with Jim Urio at the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour on Trump's tariffs. Give you the opportunity to chime in as to whether or not you're ready to pay more for your blueberry smoothies. Or if you think that Trump is unnecessarily instigating a trade war. Take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
But first, let's stop into that newsroom once again, and here is Mike Scott.
32 degrees, 732. The president expected to speak with the leaders of Mexico and Canada after imposing tariffs on close trading partners. Fox's Jared Halperin is at the White House this morning.
25% tariffs on at midnight amid threats of retaliation from the two countries.
We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that, but long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
President Trump conceding prices could go up on some goods. He says tariffs will stay in place until there is a trade balance with other countries. And Mexico and Canada do more to stop the flow of illegal immigration and drugs from reaching the U.S. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Authorities are searching for clues after a medical transport jet crashed in Philadelphia, killing 7. Appearing on CNN's State of the Union, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying the country's air traffic control practices need to change to ensure American safety.
Our air traffic control system, it's antiquated. A lot of the systems we use date back to World War II.
The jet went down Friday evening, bursting into flames and sending debris over several blocks. Officials from the Unified Command investigating the deadly plane crash in Washington, D.C., gave an update on Sunday. D.C. Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly.
It is my belief that we're going to recover everyone. If we knew where they were, though, we would already have them out. So we have some work to do as the salvage operation goes on, and we will absolutely stay here and search until such point as we have everybody.
55 victims have been found so far. President Trump says he'll be speaking with Canadian and Mexican leaders this morning as the tariff conversation continues. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. It happened in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. The incident is under investigation by COPA. A homicide suspect is in custody this morning after being arrested in the central Illinois community of Rantoul. Police say officers executed a search warrant in the 1100 block of Falcon Drive. A person who was wanted for a Cook County arrest warrant was taken into custody after being located inside of that home. Waukegan Community Unit School District 60 is trying to reassure parents after student data was leaked. Especially those concerned about ICE enforcement are worried about the leak.
If ICE comes to one of our buildings, they will need a federal warrant.
Earlier this week, the district informed parents in an email about a data release incident impacting more than 3,000 Waukegan High School students. Officials do say Social Security numbers, dates of birth, and other sensitive information was not shared. Bulls lost to the Pistons 127-119 before the game. The Bulls trade Zach LaVine to Sacramento. The news, a service of Surround Chicago, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees a president with a backbone.
If Colombia was willing to risk their entire economy over a couple dozen migrants, that shows you how dangerous these people actually are. Gustavo Petro, the socialist who runs Colombia, is upset that he now has to take care of his own people. Guess what? Playtime is over.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements. Changing the world one life at a time.
I'm 76. I had been retired for about 10 years, and at 68, I decided to go back to work. Our company had a contest, and it was a walking, steps. I ended up, by the time in the end of the 6 weeks, I was doing like 17,000 steps a day. So after the contest, I came in third. I kept hearing about Balance of Nature, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. So I did.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Paul Jenkins, owner of Bancroft Architects and Engineers, a service-disabled veteran-owned small business providing design solutions for clients, including the VA. When looking for a trusted banking partner, Bancroft was lucky to find that partner in Signature Bank in 2015. With Signature, personal service goes beyond a login and a PIN number. My staff and I have the comfort of knowing that we're dealing with real people who know our business and care about us as individuals. Signature helped finance our new state-of-the-art facility, and Bancroft looks forward to further expanding business opportunities for disabled veterans and historically disadvantaged communities.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural hair products from New Nordic. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% on average. See if you qualify today. Almostfreeteeth.com. Kennedy inbound 37, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson right now at 45 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan inbound 35 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on Lakeshore Drive northbound between Foster and Hollywood. Willow Springs, an accident with injuries, 87th and LaGrange Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Breezy and mild, clouds with a few breaks of sunshine and a high of 47. Currently mostly cloudy and 39. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump's tariffs announcing over the weekend, effective this weekend, 25% tariffs on all goods from Mexico and Canada, with a 10% kicker on China. The predicate for these tariffs has been the open borders policies of Mexico and Canada, and the general antagonism of the Chinese Communist Party to America's interests, both economic as well as of a national security variety. Do you support them? Do you support the tariffs? Are you ready to pay more for certain goods that we import, at least in part, from Mexico and Canada? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line.
So in order to do our part to keep terrorists out, because they're coming in from Canada 3 times faster than they are from Mexico. And, and to stop fentanyl. I mean, how many of you have been to fentanyl funerals? Not fun. And it could be preventable crime. So what are we willing to sacrifice as Americans to do our part?
Well, how much you can really stop the trafficking of illegal drugs, including fentanyl, is an open question because of the demand in this country. But nonetheless, there are real national security interests at stake here, and we could certainly improve our national security position if we got a little bit more cooperation north and south. That's the argument that Trump makes. I think there's merit there. Let me just provide some detail, though, on the impact, make sure people are assessing this properly. And please, I hope the housewives on the North Shore and in the Tony western suburbs are listening, okay? Because if you want to appeal to those active-wear suburban dilettantes, as so many Republicans still seem to want to appeal to this cohort, then just think of the hue and cry, the hysteria that will be felt at the Starbucks in downtown Hinsdale when this becomes known, Jenna Arnold, a Democrat strategist, delivering the bad news to those insufferable champagne socialists.
Picking strawberries.
These building trees guys are being hurt.
I can't
by
wait.
labor that shouldn't be here.
I can't wait until American women can't get blueberries for their smoothies. I cannot wait until there is a full crackdown on all small businesses, as if that's going to be the solution to the immigration problem. It is just.
So are you ready to pay, I don't know, 25, 50%, maybe even $1 more for your blueberry smoothie? Now it's hitting home. Now it's real.
Yeah.
Game on.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
It's not the only thing. Are you ready for this?
More? Yeah.
Cherry tomatoes.
Oh, no.
That Cobb salad you have with your smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, a big supplier of cherry tomatoes to U.S. Canadian producers. To the U.S. Canadian producers grow them in giant greenhouses near the border. Mexico supplies them too. You willing to pay more for your Cobb salad? I'm not done. Maple syrup. It doesn't all just come from Bernie Sanders' backyard. Canada and the U.S., the only two countries that produce this at commercial scale. More than 60% of Canada's maple syrup production is exported to the United States. You ready to forego your pancakes? Tequila. I mean, you really want to punish George Clooney? Kendall Jenner? They have their own made in Mexico tequila brands. You know, George Clooney's got Casamigos. I mean, is that fair to George Clooney? Have you no empathy for George Clooney and cajillionaire Hollywood celebrities with their branded tequilas? Avocados, Super Bowl party.
Well, that's what Chuck Schumer was screaming about.
More than 80% of U.S. avocados come from Mexico, according to the Ag Department. No chips and dip on Sunday?
You want to hear from Chuck Schumer? He
Always.
had all the beers out and the avocados.
Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer.
He's got a beer can.
Okay?
I know what a beer
Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac. Because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico.
Oh, thank you. Did you know, Dan, that guacamole is made from avocados?
Anybody doing a Taco Tuesday tomorrow? I guess not. I mean, I'm having fun with it. The tariff and tariff policy is serious business, but these are unserious people discussing it. So we'll try to have a little fun, but also try to have a little bit of, and also try to have a little bit of sobriety to this discussion. Obviously, you're not going to get it with Pagliacci. Somebody who anonymously picks their own blueberries. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Yes, every summer I take my daughter and my granddaughter and we pick blueberries, and I have a freezer full, so I'm good. And that whole avocado, Schumer and that avocado thing. California produces all those avocados. Why, when I go to the store, are they always from Mexico? That needs to change.
Can you give us your address in case we have any distraught North Shore housewives that call and don't know where to get their blueberry smoothies at a reasonable price?
Only if they're conservatives.
Thank you for the call.
Oh, well, a caveat, huh?
Yeah, boy. Litmus
Got to
test.
show your MAGA hat, right?
Jack in Northwest Indiana.
Good morning, guys. I wanted to share with you a couple of stories, so if you could bear with me. But I used to head up to Toronto every December to take part in a real estate conference. And the first year I went, it sort of amazed me because the first session, opening day, was dedicated to all things economic, interest rates, demand, what have you. But it was always about the United States. Only after a 45-minute dissertation about the U.S. did they delve into their own economy. And if I closed my eyes, I could have been in Boston or Chicago or what have you. So it speaks to just how powerful the U.S. economy is relative to their own economy. And that just, it never left me. Secondly, to a person, as I spoke to Canadians, they knew everything about us. They knew the states, the capitals, what went on where. I went back to Chicago here, talked to my peers. They were clueless about the provinces, clueless about what the major cities were. So it just speaks to maybe sort of our belligerence in that we really don't know much about the world other than ourselves. But it really spoke to me to how important the U.S. was to Canadian citizens and their each and everyday life.
There's no question. Thanks for the call, Jack. Well, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I mentioned this in our conversation with Uriel. About 75% of Canadian exports arrive in the United States, where we're responsible for 75% of their exports in terms of taking them as imports. In addition to that, that nets out in terms of their trade to the United States as a percentage of their GDP, about 40%. So this is why people are suggesting that if this goes on for an extended period of time, and I'm not necessarily saying it should, well, I am actually necessarily saying it should not. I hope not. But this is why people are saying, I mean, this could be devastating to Canada. Now, that doesn't mean that, if you have Canadian and Mexican economies suffering, there's going to be residual negative impact on the United States, to be sure. But the point is to say, use the stick right now to get some compliance in the interest of our national security, and then hopefully we can repeal these tariffs that were imposed and get back to a more productive relationship across all of our interests, economic as well as security. Renee in Barrington.
Yes, hello. To put it in perspective, I actually Googled this to see it. The GDP of the country of Canada is $1.73 trillion, and the GDP of the state of Texas is $1.88 trillion.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Renee. Well, that's why Canada can always, decide to just become a 51st state, and they won't have to worry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm kidding. But something that could provide a political boost here, this may be a sort of under-discussed political impact, influence the Canadian election for the next prime minister now that Trudeau has resigned and is just waiting for a successor. Poilievre. Poilievre can run on, look, I'm somebody who can speak to MAGA world because he's a conservative. And I bet I can come to an arrangement with Trump that eliminates these tariffs he just imposed for the benefit of the Canadian economy, and that could strengthen Poilievre's political position and that of the conservatives in Canada. So think about that in terms of short-term political impact to our benefit. Get a conservative, make sure a conservative like Poilievre is installed as prime minister, and that would ensure a more productive relationship across all of our interests for years to come. Tom in Berwyn.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I just checked all my T-shirts and jeans. They're made in Egypt, Honduras, Mexico, of course, El Salvador, China, of course, Nicaragua, Lesotho. Just a dumb question. Would these other countries be able to just provide any lack of T-shirts and jeans that we got coming into the country?
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, right. I mean, we saw this in Trump 1.0, which was the new paradigm with respect to U.S.-China, Chinese Communist Party relations. What did we see? We saw big multinational corporations moving operations out of China and to other southeastern countries that are more friendly, like Vietnam and Singapore. Right. You change the incentives, you change behavior. Gio in Villa Park.
Hi, I just wanted to point out that right now Mexico is sitting on a huge glut of tequila in barrels as well as in process, and they're going to have to deal with that in some way, shape, or form because they don't make money if they can't move it. Diageo is struggling right now, so just wanted to call that out.
Are you in the spirits industry?
Had been. Understand it very well.
Interesting. What do you think about George Clooney? Are you concerned about him?
No, I am not.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right, we're on the same page then.
Very succinct with his answer.
Yeah.
I am not.
It's interesting. Yeah. What about your Modelo for your Super Bowl party? Worried about that? Your Molson Golden, as you mentioned, What's your Canadian beer of choice?
I love Labatt's.
Oh, Labatt's, yeah,
Blue
sure.
Light is my fave.
Mm-hmm.
I used to drink that all the time in D-Town, otherwise known as Detroit Town.
Super Bowl party won't be the same this year.
Did you know that avocados and guacamole?
I did know that.
Thank goodness this U.S. Senator let us all know that.
Senate minority leaders with a green thumb. Wow. There's no question. Oh, by the way, one other perspective. I always like getting the perspectives of the practitioners that, as opposed to the politicians, the theorists versus the people that actually work in the industry, like we just heard from the gentleman in Villa Park who worked in the spirits industry. Listen to this North Dakota oil fields worker talking about, because one of the other arguments, all this oil you import from Canada, and so the prices of everything is going to go up because you're not going to have the Canadian oil you need at the price that you're used to. Take a listen.
Ooh, buddy, you're not going to like how this goes. Fun fact, spent 4 years in the North Dakota oil fields. First year was as a flowback operator. The next 3 years was as a lease operator, or a pumper, as it were. Yep, 4 years of oil field work in the great state of North Dakota. Oofta. So does the United States purchase a lot of Canadian oil exports? Survey says yes. We actually purchase 97% of the oil that you guys export. And that 97% of oil exports from Canada that we purchase in the United States, that accounts for 81% of your guys' entire oil production. Now, for some reason, you got it in your head that we desperately need to purchase this oil from you. Our oil and energy sector is going to die without Canadian exports. No, it's not. There's a very specific reason we purchase so much. It's because you guys sell that oil to us at a discount. Why would Canada sell so much oil at a discount? Well, simply put, it's because about 75% of your guys' total oil production is sour heavy crude. Oh, well, why doesn't Canada just refine their oil, eh? It's because you guys can't. Your refineries can't handle sour crude. I mean, you guys don't even have the money to maintain or build the infrastructure that it would take to transport this oil across your own country. And that's if you were able to refine it in the first place. So the reason why we get to purchase the lion's share of your oil production at a highly discounted rate is because it's raw oil. And sour oil, packed full of H2S gas, which is the second most lethal gas on the planet, right next to what happens when you burn it. So, because it's so heavily discounted, we actually save money by purchasing your exported oil versus just refining our own oil coming out of the Bakken Shale, which accounts for 61% of our oil production, which is sour heavy crude as well. Now factor in that crude oil accounts for 16% of anything that Canada exports, and we buy 97% of that. Who's going to be hurting more economically if we just stop buying that raw oil from you and deal with refining our own? Crude oil by itself is a $124 billion a year industry in Canada, by the way. Just selling raw oil down the Keystone Pipeline to American refineries. $124 billion. Canada, you guys do not have the leverage that you think you do economically. And quite frankly, the United States is tired of playing nice and letting you bend us over the table and going in with no lube economically. So I'll say it again.
I'll tell you what, that guy deserves a guest spot on Landman. He's the North Dakota version of Billy Bob Thornton.
Where to start with the phone calls?
David in Winnetka.
Let's start with David.
Hey, guys. Good morning. What a stud. He just keeps amazing me, Mr. Trump, more and more every about a minute. And what other choice does he have? So, what's not going up in cost right now? A gym membership. So he can either say, all right, we can do it this way, guys, or you can go out. I'm going to limit Amazon purchases to 5 a day, and I'm going to make you guys go to the gym.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Come on, America.
About that.
Stop.
Yeah, thanks for the call, David. All right. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, if I have to go and pay $4.50 a gallon again, like I did when Obama was in, to fill up my truck, I'm fine with that. If we're locking down the borders, we're keeping the bad guys out, and we're trying to stem the flow of that fentanyl, which kills 750,000 people in this country every year. The thing that people don't realize is we voted for this and we're backing it because it's going to be for the good. What people don't realize, like Schumer, is we didn't vote for 48% combined state and federal income tax so that you can drop ship money all over the place, so that you can deal with the addiction crisis that you let flow over our north and south borders, so that you can fund all the people that Holman is getting rid of, so that they can get college grants and all the education and all the money that we can't get here. So I think it's a win all the way around, and I think it's supported, but they're selling it as it's not. But I think if you ask the vast amount of people that are going to end up being impacted by this, we're already paying more at the grocery, and you didn't ask us if we wanted that. If we're going to pay more and it's actually getting us something and we can see it, and I think that's why they're putting it out there the way they are, I think it's transparent. Hopefully it's what they say it is. Everybody, the vast majority of people are going to support it because it's a net benefit. What's not a net benefit is you taxing the crap out of us and shipping our money out and buying $50 million worth of condoms for Hamas and all that other crap. That's what nobody supports. You're so blinded you don't even see it. We support this. Bring it on. I don't care. It's only going to be temporary.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Got a text message. Dan and Amy, real Americans don't drink Corona beer.
Yeah, that's fair point, actually. All right, coming up at 8:08, we'll talk about this. Also about the prospect confirmation for RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. Rich Lowry, National Review, joins us, 8:08.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Check in once again with Mike Scott.
A death investigation underway after a Southside fire. An ugly second quarter dooms the Bulls, who then trade Zach LaVine to the Kings. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Will he change his mind? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump says he won't, but he will talk today to the leaders of Canada and Mexico before he imposes 25% tariffs on their imports tomorrow, another 10% on goods from China.
We may have short-term a little pain, and people understand that. But long-term, the United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world.
President Trump conceding prices could go up on some goods. He says tariffs will stay in place until there is a trade balance with other countries. And Mexico and Canada do more to stop the flow of illegal immigration and drugs from reaching the U.S.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Now, the tariff on Canadian oil and gas will only be 10%. Interior Secretary Doug Burgum tells Fox.
We've got an opportunity to sell energy to our friends and allies, produce more energy here, lower the price of energy costs at home.
Mexico and Canada have vowed to retaliate, which could affect our economy. But the premier of the Canadian province of Ontario, Doug Ford, tells Fox.
Hopefully calmer heads will prevail. We're the number one customer to the U.S., and 28 states rely on us to for the products that they ship up.
Now, on Wall Street, a sell-off is brewing. Dow futures have been down about 600 points ahead of the opening bell this hour. The U.S. Agency for International Development is in limbo, instructing staffers not to show up today after Elon Musk, who runs the new Department of Government Efficiency, took control of USAID's computer systems and said on X.
I went over it with him, in detail, and he agreed with that we should shut it down.
Talking about his discussions with President Trump, who says that agency is run by lunatics. They honored music's best last night. Kendrick Lamar won the most Grammys, 5, including Song and Record of the Year for Not Like Us. Beyonce won Album of the Year on CBS.
I just feel very full and very honored. It's been many, many years.
Firefighters announced Beyonce's award as the show paid tribute to victims and first responders from the Los Angeles wildfire disaster. America's listening to Fox News.
39 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's west side. Officers responded yesterday to a call of a robbery in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. There they chased a man on foot who then turned around and fired at police. Gunfire was only then exchanged and the man was hit. He was treated at the scene by officers, then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. Officers were also treated at a nearby hospital. The incident is underway. The incident investigation is underway by COPA. An employee at O'Hare is seriously hurt after the wing of a plane hit a tug towing luggage carts. It happened Saturday night. The driver was taken to the hospital in critical condition, and this morning his condition has stabilized. A death investigation is underway following a fire on the south side. Police say crews responded to the blaze early yesterday in the 300 block of West 110th. A body was located inside the home, pronounced dead at the scene. Cause of that fire has not been released. The Bulls lost to the Pistons 127-119, and then They trade Zach LaVine to Sacramento in a 3-team deal. Ben Johnson adds a Super Bowl winning assistant to his coaching staff. The Bears hiring Eric Bieniemy as running backs coach. College hoops on Sunday, number 18, Illinois put together a strong second half to beat Ohio State 87-79. The news service of Low T Center. If you're not feeling the same energy anymore, testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. Look for personalized treatment like you'll get with the TRT experts at Low T Center. So go to Low T Center now, lowtcenter.com to book your appointment, lowtcenter.com. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Goldman Sachs strategists say Wall Street was not taking the tariff threat very seriously, which is why there's a sell-off this morning. Strategist David Kostin says if companies decide to absorb the higher costs, then profit margins will be squeezed. If they pass on higher costs to customers, then sales volumes may suffer. But Goldman Sachs economists still believe the tariffs on Mexico and Canada will be temporary. Wall Street analysts say the U.S. imports large volumes of fruits, vegetables, and beef from Mexico and Canada, so they believe tariffs will have an inflationary impact on grocery store prices. The Wall Street Journal says Facebook's parent company Meta is looking at moving its legal residence to Texas. Meta is currently incorporated in Delaware. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
On Sunday, February 9th, in a big football game.
The real name of which we aren't legally allowed to mention.
Two teams,
which we also can't legally identify,
will face off to determine the best team in the league.
Which, once again, we don't have permission to mention.
But if you can predict the exact score of this big game, you can win $50,000 big dollars.
Actual, real dollars.
For terms and conditions and to submit your prediction today, go to 560theanswer.com/game. That's 560theanswer.com/game.
How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, it's easy to find out. All you have to do is contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience, live and in person, they have an incredible market knowledge of what the market is right now. If you're ready to sell, they're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Simply go to DonleyAuctions.com to get all the info on all things they buy and sell. Donley needs your collections, and they need it now. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Simply make a phone call to Donley Auctions. As they have traveled the country for 5 decades, they know exactly how to pick up your collection. Just simply call 815-923-7000. The Pedal to the Metal auction is happening February 15th and 16th. It's a fantastic collection of cars, motorcycles, Petroliana, coin-op, and more. I will do my show from Donley Auctions this Friday to do a preview. This is your invitation. Join me from 4 to 7 p.m. this Friday at Donley Auctions.
My name is Dr. Joe Mealy. I've been a dentist for 56 years, and I'm a certified nutritional consultant. I started taking Balance of Nature 15 years ago. I think most people think when they eat fruits and vegetables, this is their idea of fruits and vegetables. I had an apple today. I had a pear today. I had a banana. That's their fruits and vegetables. They don't understand that each one of those fruits and vegetables has different nutrients than the others. Balance of Nature has made a significant difference in my life, in my wife's life. I feel we're on this earth to help each other, and if other people can benefit from my experience, I think that would be one of the best ways I could justify still being here at 81.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping as a new preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You've likely heard about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too, with their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. An easy, affordable way to see how it could literally change your life. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally, developed by doctors. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. Trying it couldn't be easier with their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call. 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, every day you feel better is a day you live better. Try Relief Factor's 3-week quick start today. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
8:09, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. McHenry, Kenosha, Waukegan. Right now, visibility is down to around a half mile, and fog is increasingly a problem as you travel in those sections of northern Illinois and southeast Wisconsin this morning. Want to calm some parents. We understand there's word of an accident involving a school bus in Westmont at 55th and Grant. The best information we have from Westmont PD is that there were no students on board that accident that involved a school bus into a tree in Westmont this morning. Mundelein, right lane block accident, Butterfield and Winchester, DuSable Lakeshore Drive, an accident southbound between Foster and Belmont. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
A bit of fog this morning, otherwise clouds and sun, breezy mild day, high 47. Partly cloudy, cold tonight, low 24. Cloudy tomorrow, the high 30. Some snow, sleet, and freezing rain Wednesday, the high 34. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
39 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So last week, the anticipated heated exchanges in the confirmation hearings for Gabbard, Patel, and RFK Jr. Who came out largely unscathed and who did not? Seems to me Kash Patel is going to fly through confirmation.
Yep. He'll be fine.
Probably RFK gets through. Tulsi Gabbard, I think, is in some jeopardy. Todd Young, Republican from Indiana, already announced that he is voting no on her. And you can be sure that those vertebrae-challenged senators in the Republican caucus, like Murkowski and Collins, maybe Mr. Freeze-Frame, McConnell, perhaps some others with respect to Gabbard, including Langford and Curtis, who expressed concern about her willingness to term Edward Snowden a traitor. Gabbard, I think, is going to be a close call, it would seem to me. And in part, there is some separation between Gabbard and, say, Patel on important issues, like, for example, Section 702 of FISA. Now, Section 702, which was abused by Christopher Wray, remember Christopher Wray famously testified, 278,000 improper FISA searches under Section 702. And constitutionalists like Senator Mike Lee from Utah really grilled Christopher Wray over these abuses. And then the question became, should Section 702 be extracted from FISA, the reauthorization of FISA. Patel said that FISA collection is sometimes used to find and save American hostages. He said, I'm quoting him, having a warrant requirement to go through that information in real time is just not comportive with the requirement to protect American citizenry. It's almost impossible to make that function and serve the national no-fail mission. Gabbard was more nebulous about her support for that particular provision in FISA, and this is also something that some national security hawks can hang their hat on in voting no for her. So it'll be interesting to see how this proceeds with more perspective on these nominees. We're pleased to be joined by Rich Lowry. He's the editor-in-chief, National Review. Rich, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So on Gabbard specifically, the Edward Snowden litmus test, the Section 702 litmus test for some senators, I'm talking about Republicans, do you think that will fell her nomination?
I go back and forth on this. I think it's about a 50-50 proposition. I don't think it was a great hearing for her. She's a great communicator. I mean, she didn't blink or wince once, but she got cornered on the Snowden thing. Excuse me. So usually, like one reason Hexeth's hearing works so well is the Democrats try to corner you into a yes or no question, and then you don't answer it, and you move on, and they wave their hands and they're angry that you didn't answer it, but that's it. You haven't given them what they want, and it's not going to be a major news story that you didn't answer a yes or no question, whereas it might be a damaging clip if you actually answer it and accept their terms. So you don't play their game. The problem she had is she got asked this question about Snowden being a traitor multiple times by both Democrats and Republicans and had a canned line. Now, I think you can defend, I'm not a Snowden fan, I think he is a traitor, but you could say, look, Senators, I understand where you're coming from. I don't think he had a treasonous intent, but I do think he ended up committing an act of treason and fleeing to a foreign adversary, and that's terrible. But she wouldn't do that, so it seemed canned, it seemed insincere. The thing is, she can only lose one vote. Now, Todd Young, by the way, hasn't come out against her. If he does, she's going to lose in committee. She can't lose any Republicans on that committee. I think it's 9-8, and no Democrats are voting for her. So she has Collins to worry about, Todd Young to worry about. There's one other in there that she has to worry about among the Republicans. But there's going to be a lot of pressure. The vote's supposed to be tomorrow. A lot of pressure on these members. And she easily could get through that committee, but she also easily could go down. It
was reported that Todd Young was a no, so maybe that's not. I mean on the floor. I don't think he's going to try to kill her in committee, but I thought it was reported that he's a no on the floor, but perhaps not. It's interesting because on this Snowden thing, where Langford and Curtis were not happy with her answer and said, I don't know, I'm thinking about it. The flip side, of course, is the chairman of the Senate Intel Committee, Tom Cotton, who's no dove, basically, and who also believes Snowden's a traitor, is not using that as a litmus test. And I think part of that is just basically deferring to, look, if you pass the sort of basic competency threshold test, combined with the fact that this is one of those nominees who is the hunted becoming the hunter with respect to the IC, then I think that does it for Tom Cotton, and I wonder how much his leadership will matter for some of those other allegedly conservative senators like Langford and Curtis.
Yeah, Moran is the one I couldn't think of. That also could be an issue for her. Cotton is hugely impressive. He wants to get her through. He knew her in the House. Probably, end of the day, not really his type where she is ideologically, but this is Trump's pick. And this is the first big test of him as a chairman of this really important committee, so he doesn't want it to blow up. So any button he can push, I think he's going to be pushing. The thing is that you got to worry about if you're Tulsi or a Warner or you're MAGA and Warner, is just Collins is not. These others might be susceptible to the real pressure campaign. We're going to primer you tomorrow. Collins, that's not an issue, right? So, but the thing is, she sounded a little more favorable after the hearing than some of the others. So I think she definitely has a fighter's chance to get out of that committee and to get confirmed, but she's on a knife's edge.
Well, if Tulsi Gabbard doesn't work out, who's the backup? Are you hearing any names?
I haven't heard any names, but I think there have to be others who. This is a distinction I'll make, by the way, between RFK and Tulsi. RFK, I'm not a fan of RFK, but if he goes down, who's the second Maha leader? Who's the second most prominent? Do we know this person? No, this person doesn't exist. It's really all him, and he did materially help Trump. Vote count, you can argue about how much, but he definitely helped. So that's a huge pick for Trump, you got to think. Tulsi, I don't know why you couldn't get someone in the mold of John Ratcliffe. He got a lot of Democrat votes. You don't necessarily need someone who's going to get Democratic votes, but someone who really hates what happened over the last decade or so and is really loyal to Trump and doesn't have this questions about his or her record or judgment. It's a little bit like, this is unfair to Tulsi because there's no personal stuff, and the attacks on her faith, I think, are absurd and wrong. But Matt Gaetz was it really terrible that Matt Gaetz went down? No, it's not as though the pick reverts to Chuck Schumer. Trump makes the pick, and he picks someone better in that instance. And I think he could do the same thing here if she goes down.
Well, yeah, I mean, you maybe move Rick Grinnell into that spot.
Of course, there's a name.
Right, right, especially after his success in Venezuela over the weekend.
That's a good name, actually.
What about, backing up RFK Jr., you just go down to his running mate, Nicole Shanahan.
Yeah, maybe, but she doesn't have the same. I don't think she carries the same weight. I just think RFK. It's going to be 3 against, but somehow he'll get.
Who are the 3 against?
It's probably Murkowski, Collins, McConnell, or some mix thereof, with maybe Cassidy thrown in. I just think once these things. The Gates model was that was the model for defeating a Trump nominee you didn't like. We don't know who really opposed him, right? It was 6 to 8 people. It was all behind the scenes. They didn't have to put their heads above the parapet and take the heat. And they just said, it's not going to happen for this guy. And someone tapped him on the shoulder and said, okay, go away and do your TV gig now. It's harder. A secret committee vote is closer to that than a floor vote, but we'll still know where everyone was in the secret committee vote. So it's just really hard for these folks. They're going to get major pressure if they're the decisive no.
Talking about FBI and the intel community, we've had a little bit of, sort of a modest red wedding, not the red wedding that I want. But the beginnings of a red wedding, some senior FBI officials that were involved in J6 investigations that were pushed out against the perspective of the acting director, but that guy's a short timer, so who cares? And also Trump going next level on the 51 who signed the Hunter Biden laptop letter, not just revoking their security clearances, but also banning them from federal buildings. Your perspective on purging the leadership of the intelligence community, past and present, and FBI?
I don't have any problem with going after the people who directed this. I think it could be an issue going after the people who were directed. And otherwise, you're a prosecutor, a line prosecutor, or an FBI agent, and you're told to take this case. Or we really expect them to quit or resign or give up their careers. And Chris Christie, I know some people are not fans of Chris Christie. He was making a point yesterday that it's really hard to replace FBI agents. So you got to be sure these agents themselves were drivers before you're firing hundreds and hundreds of them. It's going to be hard to replace. But I don't have any problem going after the people who did it. I don't have any problem going after the signers the 51 signers of that letter, which was a disgusting act of propaganda. So when Trump talked about retribution, what made me nervous and I thought would be a huge mistake was trying to prosecute his political enemies. That would be blind alley, wouldn't work, be politically damaging. If by retribution he just means getting rid of the people who did this stuff, I'm all on board.
The executive order signed in the Doge world, which is showing some early benefits. He has moved from a 2-to-1 regulation, removing 2 regulations for every 1 regulation that you promulgate, to an executive order installing a 10-to-1 ratio. I assume that's a high bar he's setting for Elon Musk and company. This was one of his successes in his first term. Maybe not as much as people had hoped, but certainly he, in comparison to what we've seen before, the Federal Register didn't balloon like it normally does. What about this sort of 10-to-1 cultural touchstone?
Great, let's do it. Actually, let's have no new regulations. I'm all in favor of it. The only hesitation I have on this, and I don't want to be a naysayer because I think it's a righteous cause, is when it comes to undoing the regulations, you got to be really careful. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. You got to be really careful because the courts will say, unless you've every I is dotted and T is crossed, the courts will say, no, you can't do this. So you had some perverse rulings the first time around. Obama did something out the door, and Trump said, okay, we're reversing that. And the court said, no, you can't reverse that. Well, right, if the guy unilaterally imposed it, why can't you unilaterally reverse it? But you have to go through all these procedures and process. So you just got to make sure you're doing that stuff right, although it's annoying and delays things.
But we're in a post-Chevron world, so he has more latitude than he did the first go-around.
Yeah,
one would think.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Thinking about the litigation, they're going to do the same thing the leftists that they did the first go-around, which is, as you keep hearing from their leadership in the streets, in the courts, in the halls of Congress, and so forth. But Trump is jujitsuing them a little bit too, because they're happy to go to court to preemptively litigate some of these things too, or try to get them before courts that can change the legal paradigm under which we live. Birthright citizenship is a good example.
Yeah, so that one I don't think he's going to. Is not going to succeed on, but this is the advantage of having done it so much so early. If you look at the anti-DEI order, it's pretty airtight. It is sweeping, could have a seismic effect, not just on the federal government, but on how the private sector thinks about these sort of things. And we're not having a debate about that right now, right? The debate about that was like 12 hours, and then it ended. If that was all he'd done, or the most significant thing he'd done, we'd still be arguing about it now. So this shows the advantage of the flood the zone approach. The disadvantage is if you're Russian, you can trip up here and there, as they did with this OMB guidance about the federal spending pause. But at the end of the day, the key thing on a lot of these executive orders is the chief executive runs the executive branch, right? You often hear it said on TV, oh, the Department of Justice is independent. No, it's not. It's entirely beholden to the president. Now, you don't want to be a partisan tool, but he gets to fire and hire and promote within some limits whoever he wants.
Yeah, and you couldn't set a lower standard with Eric Holder and Merrick Garland. So, the other advantages he has, I'm sorry, they set the precedents here. So, we told you that if you start to blow through all of these precedents, they will boomerang on you at some point. Well, guess what? Welcome to some point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the idea that Merrick Garland is sold as this reasonable centrist to go on the Supreme Court was crazy, and that was Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans' finest hour, just saying no to that and holding it open for Trump.
Rich Lowry, editor of National Review, author of The Case for Nationalism, How It Made Us Powerful, United, and Free. Rich, thank you as always.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Little things in life like walking, climbing stairs, even getting out of your car hurts, then you need to call our good friends at QC Kinetics. We're talking about that always there joint pain and your knees, hip, shoulder, and back. So here's the good news. QC Kinetics, they're friends of ours, and they offer groundbreaking treatments for arthritis pain and pain due to injury. Long-term relief, folks. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation, and they're right here in the Chicago area under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Thousands of patients would tell you, don't wait. Some say, and even told me I wish I would have called them sooner. So call today. These new orthobiological cellular therapies, including PRP treatments, can revitalize your joints without going under the knife. No surgery, no downtime, no drugs. QC Kinetic treatments prop your body to heal itself and restore damaged joint. There's no downtime. Call for a free consultation. They'll walk you through the process, show you, explain to you in full detail how it works. But call because the consultation is free. You've got nothing to lose. 312-809-5955. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. Again, that number is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Zeke, self-employed, called to refinance his $1 million home after being rejected by 3 lenders. Zeke contacted me after hearing me explain how I helped another self-employed listener who was also rejected due to lack of income. I helped Zeke secure an $800,000 cash-out refinance using the 12-month average of Zeke's business bank statements. Let's review. Zeke called to refinance his home after being rejected by 3 lenders, and we helped Zeke refinance using the deposits into his business bank statements. If you're self-employed and want to work with mortgage professionals who understand self-employed borrowers, call Team Hochberg at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of self-employed listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 and that website you love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 112461.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Will you be my Valentine?
Really?
I can't stop thinking about you.
Wow.
I'm smitten with employee-free showrooms.
Oh.
And free next-day delivery.
So you're professing your affection for Hasselus mattress.
I'm head over heels.
It's hard to compete with hassle-free mattress shopping. Our employee-free showrooms save you so much money.
Tell me more.
Get a Sealy Posturepedic Golden Acres A Queen mattress. Others sell it for $12.99, but Hasselus has it every day for $9.93. Plus, way low pricing on Beauty Rest and Serta Perfect Sleeper, and free next-day delivery, too.
My heart's all aflutter.
And through Monday, Hasselus Mattress will give you an additional $248 in instant savings on any Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper.
You complete me.
You're gonna love shopping at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free Chicagoland showroom near you at Hasselus.com. Hasselus, employee-free since 2014.
With over 50 years of precision tooling, that's a lot of job shop work and custom parts. And it's why Bruscher Machining is the go-to CNC turning and machining company in Chicagoland. If you have a custom project, whether it's a single prototype or a short-run production of a few thousand pieces, give them a call today for your free custom quote. 630-876-1661. That's 630-876-1661. Or visit BruscherMachining.com. That's BRUCHER Machining.com. They also provide heat treating, balancing, plating, and surface coating, welding and fabrication, plus project management. Bruscher Machining guarantees to consistently deliver high-quality parts and solutions on time for reasonable prices. Yeah, everyone says that, but the proof is in the tooling. Stop by to meet their team of seasoned pros and tour the facility located in West Chicago. To learn more about how CNC machining can turn your tough project into an operational reality, contact Bruscher Machining today for your free custom quote. 630-876-1661.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll discuss the latest of what we know and what we'd like to know about the American Airlines Black Hawk helicopter crash last week with Robert Mark, who's a business jet pilot and publisher of Jet Wine magazine. Robert Mark, 838.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
832, we have a heavy, dense fog, especially as you head north. Waukegan, McHenry, up to Kenosha, Wisconsin this morning with some visibilities down to a half mile. Canada's ambassador to the U.S. says her country is responding to tariffs announced by the Trump administration. Kirsten Hillman telling ABC's This Week if the two countries are unable to reach an agreement, tariffs will be placed on U.S. goods.
This is not something that Canada wants to do. This is not a path that we are interested in going down. We are actually interested in being and continuing to be your best customer.
The opening bell rings this morning on Wall Street, the first trading session since President Trump imposed tariffs over the weekend. Stock futures were down until the Dow bell rang. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy calling for major changes in air traffic control following a pair of aviation disasters.
Our air traffic control system, it's antiquated. A lot of the systems we use date back to World War II.
Duffy was on CNN's State of the Union. One man is dead following an officer-involved shooting on Chicago's West Side. Police say they responded yesterday to a call of a robbery in the 1800 block of South Ridgeway. There, they chased a man on foot who turned and fired at police. Gunfire only then was exchanged. The man was struck, treated on the scene by the officers, and then rushed to a nearby hospital where he later died. The incident remains under investigation by COPA. A woman is in custody after a man was found shot to death on the south side. That man was located yesterday inside of a home with a gunshot wound to the chest in the 8500 block of South Parnell. And fire investigators remain on the scene of a deadly blaze on Chicago's south side. Police say crews responded to that fire call early yesterday in the 300 block of West 110th Place. The body was located inside that home. The cause has not been released. The Bulls had an ugly loss to the Pistons, 127-119, and then trade Zach LaVine to Sacramento in a 3-team deal. College hoops, Fighting Illini had a strong second half, and they beat Ohio State 87-79. Rutgers is next. And Rory McIlroy celebrates his 27th tour victory, finishing on top of the leaderboard at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The news, a service of Low T Center. If you're not feeling that same energy anymore, testosterone therapy, or TRT, may be the answer. Low T Center brings over a decade of experience, so go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt explains Trump's new party,
which I'll call GOP-H, the GOP hybrid party. It includes everyone and more who want to come over. He is not an ideologue. He's a common-sense center-right conservative, and he expanded the party significantly. The Trump party, the Republican Party of Trump, is a big tent party.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity, and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of True Green. Get a golf course quality lawn that's more affordable than you think. Don't wait. Sign up at truegreen.com for 75% off your first service. True Green, the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour. truegreen.com. Kennedy at 40 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the Stevenson. It's 35 in from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You're on the brakes, Harlem to Kedzie. The Dan Ryan, not too bad. 30 minutes in, 95th into the Circle. And delays continue as you roll through Mundelein with an accident. Right lane block, Butterfield and Winchester. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy and mild today with clouds and sun. High 47. Cloudy right now, 39. Heavy fog to the north and to the west. In fact, right now in Aurora, your visibility is down to a quarter mile. And your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. New York Times reporting over the weekend. 4 people briefed on the D.C. crash say the Black Hawk was flying too high and was outside of its approved path when it collided with that American Airlines flight. The helicopter pilot acknowledged how they were getting too close to the plane, yet somehow collided with it anyway after being warned by air traffic control. The Times reporting the air traffic control tower had given the helicopter pilot permission to fly no higher than 200 feet. Said the people were not authorized to speak about the matter publicly. And the reported reading on the Black Hawk helicopter's altitude at the time of the crash was 325 feet, give or take 25 feet.
And it was interesting because the NTSB came out last night and they said that flight data from the control tower tells 2 different stories. One, that the chopper was flying at 324 feet. The other was that it was at 200 feet. So they're going to have to figure that out, what the truth is there, because the math doesn't lie.
You heard Sean Duffy on the news talk about antiquated technology at FAA. Okay, well, that's a topic to discuss as well, as is the hiring and staffing at FAA and with air traffic control specifically. J.D. Vance took up that issue, the DEI issue that Trump raised, and of course was excoriated by the leftover. J.D. Vance discussing it on Bert Aroma over the weekend.
Do you have any evidence that any of those hires that were there
at the control Wednesday night were DEI hires.
So the president's been very clear about this. This is not saying that the person who is at the controls is a DEI hire, but let's just say, first of all, we should investigate everything, but let's just say the person at the controls didn't have enough staffing around him or her because we were turning people away because of DEI reasons. There is a very direct connection between the policies of the last administration and short-staffed air traffic controllers. That has to stop. And by the way, it's so funny to me, the media has picked up on this, not you, of course, Maria, but others have picked up on this. The president made very clear that he wasn't blaming anybody, but he was being very explicit about the fact that DEI policies have led our air traffic controllers to be short-staffed. That is a scandal. Thankfully, it's a scandal that the president has stopped.
Well, and he's not wrong. In fact, the left was bragging about DEI at FAA not so long ago. Let's flash back to Representative Jasmine Crockett. She bleach blonde, bad-built, beach body Spice, bragging about slipping in DEI to the FAA's reauthorization last year.
I think that I've been somewhat effective. We also were able to get monumental legislation into the FAA Reauthorization Act that really flew under the radar, thank God. But this was funding to make sure that hopefully we can increase the number of African Americans and Hispanics that are entering aviation, which can be very expensive, but can obviously be very lucrative. And so we set up a situation where basically there will be full rides for those attending land grant HBCUs as well as HSIs to go into aviation. In this crazy anti-DEI environment, we were able to get that done because we were working with everybody that mattered. So I do want people to know that we are working. This is just one of those aberrations.
Okay, well, good to know. We're happy that you disclosed that. And as we mentioned on Friday, it's with both pilots, and then you would think that would have bled over into air traffic control as well. There is a class action lawsuit that was filed against the FAA by the Mountain States Legal Foundation, 900 pilots. And reports are that the total number of litigation of pilots who believe that they were illegally discriminated against with respect to hiring practices could be closer to 3,000. They were bounced because the FAA moved from sort of a rigorous testing based on the substance of the matter of being a commercial pilot to a more biographical threshold, a biographical standard for reviewing applicants that was intended to get to whatever magic numbers they dreamed up in terms of how many pilots need to have these non-behavioral characteristics. Robert Mark is a business jet pilot. He's also the publisher of Jet Wine. That's with a W, Jet, W-H-I-N-E, jetwine.com. Robert Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, why don't we start with what Sean Duffy said about technology and the equipment that air traffic controllers use to push tin, as it were. Obviously, this is the first crash in more than commercial airline crash in more than 15 years. So the technology can't be so bad that air traffic control isn't making the skies safe, generally speaking. But if there are upgrades that should be done, okay, fine. What's your perspective on the technology question?
He's absolutely correct on the technology. I mean, the FAA has never been known as a technological innovator by any stretch. They are, again, using equipment right now that is so old they can't even get parts for it. And so, but the controllers are very dedicated people. I mean, they make it work no matter what they have. But is it easy sometimes? No, it's not. I mean, but Congress really needs to go back and look at that. There was a National Airspace System Review. I think it was released right at the end of 23. When people say, "Is the system safe?" It is safe, but safety is not a goal. It's not an end goal. It's a journey, and we won't stay safe if we don't take care of the system, which is do we have enough money to fund it? Do we have enough people? Do we have the equipment? And nobody even gave that report much of a note. And I hope that maybe this time around they will, because it's a cry for help. And, staffing-wise, you mentioned controllers. I mean, we haven't had enough air traffic controllers since the PATCO strike of 1981. The system never caught up. I don't care what they tell you. They hire a few here and there, a few thousand. It sounds like a lot. But you have to realize many of those people never get through the training, because the training takes a long time. It takes a year, sometimes 2 years, and people just don't make it. They fail in the training. So then you're not really hiring as many as you think you are, and then they're retiring people. So it's very similar to what we were going through with the pilot shortage not long ago. When you lose them, when you retire them, you've got to keep that pipeline going, and we haven't been very good at that.
Well, what about restricting military exercises near busy airports such as Reagan National?
I've never liked that, to be honest. I've flown into National quite a bit, and there's nothing more disconcerting than you're doing your final approach checks and all the other stuff, and out of the corner of your eye you'll see a helicopter down low. You see him, and he's not at your altitude, but it's just disconcerting. I mean, in other airspace around the country, around the world, we don't have that. But D.C. has always been a very special case, especially since 9/11. But honestly, when we look at, I know these helicopters are training to remove people from the government if they needed to in a national emergency, and that's part of what they're practicing for. But you know what? When they're just carrying generals and admirals and staffers around, they could take a little bit of a detour and go east of Reagan. They don't need to be that close. And, if they had to go out of their way and it took a general 3 extra minutes to get to a destination down south of the city, it's a fair price to pay, I think.
Now, I mean, it's good that all these issues are being raised, technology and staffing and so forth, but there's not any evidence at present to suggest that any of that had to do with the crash last week. And
you're right.
Based on the New York Times reporting, the air traffic controller was on the ball and did communicate with the Black Hawk helicopter. And for some reason, even though there was acknowledgement of the situation from the Black Hawk helicopter pilot, if the reporting is correct, they still obviously incurred into the final approach of that American Airlines flight. Do you have any perspective or theory about how that could happen despite the communications and the acknowledgement?
Well, perspective is an interesting word, Dan, because when you're down at that altitude, and the RJ was down at, I think, 200 or 300 feet himself, turning, the pilots were, at the turning final, and the helicopter at the same altitude. The perspective is when you're that close to the ground, if you look out the window, all you see are lights.
Yeah.
And it is difficult at night to really get a feel for which way. Is that a light? Is that light coming at me? Is it stationary? Is it going away? And you have to realize, too, that it's very difficult. But again, if the helicopter hadn't been there in the first place, and, this altitude wouldn't even be an issue. And this is not the first time that we've had a close call with, a helicopter and an airplane going international.
Well, when they said that they acknowledged the American Airlines flight, could they have maybe be talking about the flight that was taking off at the time? Because one was taking off while another one was landing.
Oh, absolutely. There's a possibility that they could have been looking at the wrong aircraft or at the wrong set of lights. But again, we don't know. When a pilot says, I see the traffic, we don't know which traffic he meant. He sees lights and he goes, yeah, those are the guys. And they take it very much for granted. Unfortunately, we all do that. We look for what we want, and then we go, yeah, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but I mean, the air traffic controller will be specific about what you're looking for, and obviously the trajectory of a plane on final approach versus a plane taking off is 180 degrees different. And so, so you're saying look for this, and the pilot would acknowledge I'm looking for that specific plane. You wouldn't mistake. Air traffic control and the pilot shouldn't mistake a plane coming in for landing for a plane taking off, right?
I don't think so. But then again, I wasn't there. I can only surmise. I mean, but again, at that altitude, it would have been almost no. Well, there wasn't any room for error.
Right.
Absolutely none. I mean, and normally when we're flying, we want 1,000 feet vertically between any aircraft. And down in the 200-foot, maybe 50 feet difference, that's scary as hell to me.
Well, we heard from a Black Hawk helicopter pilot last week, and he was talking about night vision goggles. The Black Hawk helicopter pilots probably using them, and the pilots on the American Airlines flight probably not. He said the pilots on the American Airlines flight, you don't have night vision goggles, you may not see that helicopter. And the pilots of the helicopter could mistake that American Airlines flight, the lights from that American Airlines flight, for the ambient lights in that region, like you were mentioning, in terms of all this light that's around, because it's a congested, populated area. What about that whole night vision goggle and what you and how that impacts who sees what?
Well, I've never used night vision goggles. I only know what pilots that have used them have told me, and that they are very restrictive in terms of what you can see. I mean, that particular night, it was very clear, and so without night vision goggles, maybe this wouldn't have happened, because it would have been the helicopter had strobes on, the RJ had strobes on it, so they kind of stick out. But again, I don't know how that night vision goggle system might have restricted the pilot's vision system if they were indeed using it.
What about Trump's order of a review of the hiring practices at FAA, specifically in the context of this DEI culture that he inherited?
Well, as you said when we were talking about something earlier, it didn't necessarily, cause the problem. I think this is kind of a red herring. I mean, I don't think anybody likes some of what they hear surrounding DEI policies. I mean, nobody wants to see an unqualified person in a job. We also don't want to see qualified people be turned away, no matter what they look like. And so, the DEI policy has become such a political football that nobody is really certain how it affected the hiring. But I know that the biographical, interview part that the FAA was using a few years ago caused a great deal of grief, because I know people that were perfectly qualified, and they gave them the bio and they failed. And you think, well, what's wrong with him, or what's wrong with her? They could do that job, but we never knew, because of course when somebody was turned away, they never tell you why. It's like any job; they don't tell you why you don't get the job. They just say thank you, but we're moving in a different direction, or something like that. But all of this, it's really we need to hire enough people. We need to hire enough good people that get through the training to replace the people that either fail in training or are retiring. And however we do it, again, I'm not at that level. I don't know. But I just know we've got to get our act together, because this has been going on for a very, very long time. Maybe this will be a wake-up call that this happened on the nation's doorstep. At least I hope it is.
Yeah, I hope so. Robert Mark, business jet pilot. He's the publisher of Jet Wine Magazine, Jet, W-H-I-N-E, jetwine.com. Robert, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck, and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment, coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Does pain in your life impact everything you do, like walking, climbing stairs, even getting out of your car? You don't have to live like this. Hey, Amy Jacobson here with a solution. Joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back due to arthritis or an injury can be eliminated. How? Well, with the help from our good friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics regenerative treatments are sweeping the nation. Everyone's talking about it. And they're right here in Chicago under the guidance of medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli. Here's how it works. QC Kinetics treatments prompt your body to heal and restore damaged joints. Joint pain doesn't get better with time. See if you're a candidate for these life-changing treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and tell them Amy Jacobson sent you. Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, where'd the time go? That was fast. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy, as always. Couldn't do the Zoo Crew without them. And thanks to you, our listeners. We'll be back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now, let's hit that newsroom one more time. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, an employee hurt after a plane hits a tug at O'Hare. A man killed in a fire